All right, guys, let's get it. All right, so we're going to be watching Candace episodes 376, 377, and 378, and just have some post-debate reactions. Talk about it a little bit, but first, we're going to watch this because Andrew got absolutely cooked. So, yeah. It's so great. It's going to be, just watch this. What is that?
You listed on your... Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
I think is that, can we list them real quick?
Well, do you know any of the charges he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course.
Can you name one?
Name all seven since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure.
Go ahead.
You name one.
Yeah, you named all seven.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all seven.
The first charge is aggravated murder. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next two charges are for obstruction of justice. The next two charges are for witness tampering. The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone. Take it.
Let's see. Nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
I'll take your word for it.
Yeah. See, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work, and you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it.
Cooked, dude. Absolutely cooked. He said, yeah, of course I know one. Didn't know anything. So absolutely incredible. But yeah, let's get it. So it's just the past 2 days, her 3 episodes she has. I've seen stuff on Twitter about the Terrell Farnsworth stuff. Haven't watched it yet. It might be here too. We'll just see. It's probably in both. But yeah, let's get after it. I think it got 5 million views. Hundreds of thousands of people watching at the same time. Crazy. So Andrew Wilson is, I have no words for that, dude. TPUSA really paid that dude, and he failed. He tried to get her in gotcha moments, and he failed. So let's get after it.
All right, you guys, happy Monday. I am extra happy this Monday because of the great debate. My, oh my. Honestly, you guys, if we're being honest, it was over the minute that Andrew Wilson began reading his quote-unquote opening statement from his phone. I was half expecting him to just be like, and this message was brought to you by Turning Point USA. Just terrible. Awful. Terrible. I mean, without question, the biggest loser was Erica Kirk,
Facts.
Andrew Colvett, Lake Neff, the Turning Point USA organization, more broadly speaking, because we seem to be reaching a new depth of their PR disaster. Could it get any worse? I mean, guys, they brought that guy in to train Turning Point USA students how to debate. He's going to teach them the strategy of debate. They actually paid him to teach them. So they went from Charles James Kirk, Charlie, to a chain-smoking debate bro with a very shaky boot. Like I said, they are the biggest losers. I personally think the organization is over. There can't be much coming back from that. Who they're now hitching their wagon to. Erica Kirk, was CEO and chairwoman, ruined this organization in under a year, which is incredible. And it's because the Queen sent an absolute joker. Welcome back to Candace.
This is the best intro ever. He got cooked, dude. I mean, people saying that he didn't, you know you're lying. It's incredible.
Let me just express to you all that I truly feel disrespected. Can I say that? I feel disrespected because there is no organization that knows better than Turning Point USA does that I was trained to debate by Charlie Kirk.
That's
cross country,
why she's the GOAT.
Across too many college campuses. I mean, just hours and hours and hours while we were traveling, note cards, learning how to debate, what not to do. And so it's just like, how dare they? You know, how dare they send me Andrew Wilson? Really, this is the new person that's coaching the students. This is who you think is going to take me down. Goes into TPUSA headquarters in June. Comes out and suddenly he thinks that, I don't know, he's a billionaire, dropping my name. Oh, she's too afraid to debate me. Okay. Let me give you guys a little bit of a backstory here. You should just know what happened leading up to this because it just will give you a better sense of what the organization has become. What we all notice is nothing to do with who Charlie was. And I think understanding the lead up to this moment, lead up to the great debate. I really do think that it will help furnish the answer of the strategy that Erica Kirk employs as the new CEO and leader. Now, I am not in any way exaggerating when I say that I have never in my life, amongst friend or foe organizations, dealt with a more unprofessional team than Andrew's team in my entire career, ever, anywhere, leading up to them arriving at my house. So foremost, just to back it up, you will recall that Andrew Wilson demanded that I publicly negotiate the terms of the agreement on X. He wanted to tweet back and forth. It was excruciating. He wanted to make sure that I couldn't change the terms. I was like, why don't we take this onto email? We could just go back and forth. He's like, no, this must be negotiated publicly, please. So he literally refused to email like a normal human being until we agreed to the debate claim, until we agreed to the format, 3.5 hours minimally, until I accepted that. And that took about a day and a half of nonstop back forth, which to me is quite childish. And we agreed, of course, that he could also bring a video guy because he was paranoid to ensure that there were no surprises, like we were going to do some sort of a gotcha here. Like, who is in his ear just telling him that any of this is necessary? I don't know, but I did find out. We also agreed, as you saw publicly, that he could bring his own fact checkers. Essentially, he's coming with a party of 4. We agreed that he could pick the moderator, et cetera, et cetera. We basically folded on everything because I just said, I'm down for this debate. And then once it was excruciatingly and publicly negotiated and we are finally able to move to discussions behind the scenes, we start an email chain, I am provided with no identity as to who I am communicating with. We're basically emailing the quote unquote Crucible team. I'm like, who is this? Who am I speaking with? Why is there no name behind the emails? Even when we asked, who am I speaking to? They're just being shady for no reason. It's like a faceless email chain. We have all of our names on there, so they know exactly who's calling the shots, who's being looped in. We've got nothing. So whoever this anonymous email person or people were, they then declare that they would like a contract and an escrow account for the funds, okay? Not totally off the mark, but it's going to be hard, not exactly easy to find a bank that approves an escrow account, open it, get lawyers involved by Friday. That's what I'm thinking. They then indicate that they're okay if it's my lawyer's account. Okay, fine. I have my lawyer begin drafting a very simple contract, which basically spells out exactly what we've agreed to publicly. And suddenly we receive an email from the Crucible team, essentially saying, never mind, Joe Rogan has now made an offer to host this discussion down in Texas. So, and I'm quoting this changes everything. Let's just blow up the negotiations. Let's blow up everything that we made you painfully agree to publicly because Joe Rogan will reach more people than your platform. Now they're asking me to travel to Texas. They offer me a luxury car to accommodate my pregnancy. And I say no. I say no unless Joe would like to come to Nashville because it does not change everything. It actually changes nothing. And I'm not going to deal. It's already been a painful process. I'm not taking myself through that again, plus pushing the date back and having to be in communication with this team for weeks on end because you're a fan of Joe Rogan. I like Joe Rogan too, but I only had 2 conditions here, right? Everything else we've conceded to. I said I don't want to travel, not because I can't travel pregnant. I do. I can and I do travel pregnant. I just don't want to travel to this ankle biter who's up there saying, I'll do it on your platform. Okay, put your money where your mouth is. The other condition I had was no smoking. No smoking, no traveling. Anyway, they finally let that go, and I respectfully declined. And when Joe reached out, he was very nice about it, totally understanding. Andrew then calls PBD and asks him to moderate because Michael Knowles said that he wasn't going to moderate. I immediately said, give me your second, third, fourth option so we can start reaching out to people. Andrew reached out to PBD. And around this time, the quote unquote Crucible team begins renegotiating what we've already publicly agreed to, asserting that they want to have a guaranteed 90 minutes to basically sit me through a deposition where he can just go at me and ask me questions and I have to answer his questions about things that I have said outside of our debate claims. Now, we've already addressed that publicly, and I said no. I said, I'm happy to answer your questions once we have exhausted our debate claims, but we're not going to have you sitting down and deposing me. I actually recommended via email. Again, I said, if you want that to happen, you're going to have to pass the bar and join Brigitte Macron's prosecution team against me. If that's what you're aspiring to do, sit me down for a deposition, you have to become a lawyer and join her team. Okay. And I said no. And PBD, I'm going crazy here. I'm like, he is the one that agreed to all of this publicly, made me do this publicly, and is now trying to change things. So at that point, since PBD accepted being the moderator, he suggested that everyone get on a FaceTime call to work through these details. So we have basically an emergency FaceTime call on Tuesday evening, and I explained in detail. Suddenly he's acting differently. I think just having the presence of me now looping in PBD on these emails, he's like, oh yeah, no, it's fine. I don't need to, ask her questions or do anything like that or add that to the contract. I just want to make sure that there will be time for me to address, generally speaking, some of her conspiracies. And I said over and over again, I don't mind answering your questions. We're going to be dialoguing. Like you're not sitting me down and questioning me. And I want to make sure we at first and foremost address the case. That's what people are here to listen to. And I explained in detail on this call, and PBD has 2 members from his team on the call as well, Tom, as well as his executive assistant. I explained in detail thoroughly that my house is very small. I explained to him why we are not allowing them to film anywhere but inside of this exact studio. My kids live here. They homeschool here. And this is something that you just have to respect, but I understand you're paranoid. We have a very small, formerly HVAC closet control room, but we will create a spot to address your paranoia for your team. They will be able to listen. They'll be able to hear everything. And so that that there's no funny business going on, and you're welcome to basically record within the studio so that in the event that we try to trick you or do something, you will have captured it. And he's fine with that. We get off the phone, everything is done. Contract gets officially signed on Thursday. Okay, what could possibly go wrong? You're thinking, right? Because tomorrow's Friday. Well, sometime on Thursday, my producer is like, it's kind of weird that we don't have a point of contact. We are still dealing with a faceless team. No one has reached out to ask for our address. We also need the names because we have security and we need to know who they're bringing. So the faceless people have to become real people. And we end up asking PBD's team to provide us a number for Andrew Wilson. We get a number, and it's Andrew's number. And he says, reach out to this number, which seemingly belongs to no one. They will not identify themselves. So my producer is now texting an anonymous somebody. We try to run the number to figure out who we're speaking to. It appears to be a burner phone. The person I guess they want to surprise us with who they're bringing to the house. I can't even imagine this. I can't even imagine this scenario where someone has expressed to you, my children live here, they sleep here, this is our personal home. Like, we are going to, have a studio outside of this in the near future. But for now, this is what we have. Now, over the course of this conversation with this faceless individual, the person immediately begins getting rude with my producer and insisting, again, this is on Thursday. This is the night before, that they're going to need a desk. They're going to need a place to set up Andrew's live stream. Excuse me. They're saying they're now going to need an HDMI cable that's going to run out of our studio into the control room so they can set up a computer into a camera and live stream. They need access to power, they say. They, being the anonymous people, I don't know who we're speaking to. And I almost lost it. I just went this is absurd. They still will not answer who they are bringing. And I said, we have never agreed to allow them to set up a live stream in our home, to provide a desk, an HDMI. What are we even talking about? And the person replies that they thought it was implied because our contract says the debate will be live streamed.
It's on her channel.
Yeah, the debate's going to be live streamed like my show is live streamed every day because you thought we were going to trick you and put it behind a paywall. Why would you think that implies that you can set up a mini studio in my home after I've gone through such pains to express to both you and PBD's team how small the space is and how we don't have any room? I kid you not, okay? So when did this anonymous team decide to email us rather than trying to, force my producer to just accommodate them. When were they going to email us about this assumption? 9:15 p.m. the night before. 9:15 p.m. the night before the debate, with a follow-up email sent at 11:15 p.m. And still, at no point will they identify who the 4 people are, despite the fact that we asked multiple times in email and via text, who are you bringing into my home where my children lie their head? So it's now debate day. We still get no answers, no identity of who they're bringing. They want to surprise us. That's very apparent. And I just want to say, I cannot comprehend how degenerate and disrespectful you have to be to do that. I would never do that to anybody, no matter how I felt about them. So we just made sure that they were not welcomed through the front door. We normally just welcome everybody through the front door. Instead, they had to go through the back, through the basement door, because why would I allow anyone to be so unnecessarily disrespectful? And then we figure out why. And then it starts to make sense, because he shows up with Steven Crowder's team.
What?
Steven Crowder's producer, CEO, regular on-air talent feature, who spends all day mean tweeting me. He's actually like the CEO of whatever it is Steven Crowder thinks he does anymore. If you don't know who Steven Crowder is, he's basically a child actor who never stopped being a child actor. He's a 40-year-old man, and he just likes to prank people. And this is exactly his brand of just doing something this disrespectful for no reason.
He beat his wife, by the way, or abused her or whatever. He's an awful human being.
And I mean, when I say
I saw the video, he's an awful human being.
Disrespectful, and I'm not even like Gerald Morgan is who he brought with him. I didn't. He was not rude to me, but could you imagine? Okay, that despite me detailing why we wanted no filming outside of this studio and saying you can film in the studio, Gerald decided to do a live call-in from my kids' playroom just outside the studio. It was one of the reasons we said no smoking. We made it clear to them my children's playroom, which is the garage area, is just outside, and you can't smoke cigarettes. Like, all of this was made clear. This was their big plan, is to get views for Steven and to disrespect me. You can go back. And so I still am just amazed that this is something that like grown men would be plotting and planning for clicks and views. It's so disgusting. But at the very least, it allowed me to understand why there was so much paranoia, why there was all this weird communication, all this unnecessary scheming, because that's his brand. That is literally his brand. He's just not an honest dealer. He's a part of that bizarre group of middle-aged men who are fixated with me. I just never have been interested in Steven Crowder. I genuinely, like, I don't follow his stuff. I've never been on his show. That brand of never growing up and thinking that it's funny to do like pranks, and it's grow up, you know? His brand sort of crashed and burned when he was caught on a doorbell cam berating his 8-month pregnant, now ex-wife, when she was pregnant with twins, and he never really recovered from that. And so I guess the way that he thought he would recover is by plotting against another very pregnant person to sort of like break into her house in a weird way, and like, so you could have inside scoop on a debate rather than just maturely emailing and saying, like, why would you sneak into someone's house? Like, it still boggles the mind. Why would you try to sneak into someone's house because you want clicks and views, because you don't have the manhood or the decency to say, hey, look, you said I could bring 4 people, and I'm going to bring someone that you don't like and someone who's been nasty to you online, but that's my prerogative. I would have said, yeah, you're right. It's your prerogative. Could you just make sure this person doesn't, film here, whatever? They did not do that. And it was actually in complete violation to what we agreed to, because one thing the contract did stipulate was no filming outside of this studio. Anyway, I kept it professional. We were kind to everyone because, if nothing else, it did give me the confidence to know that Andrew was surrounding himself and taking advice from very unserious people who like to play pranks, essentially. And I think that we saw the fruits of that during the debate immediately, that was their plan, to sort of play tricks to win. And I do want to say, just to be super fair here, the team, particularly he had in the control room, Rob, he was very kind, very professional. Even Gerald, he was kind and professional to my face, but just what you're doing, the exercise of what you're doing here, is just a level of disrespect that I don't think I've ever dealt with. And if it wasn't for me knowingly moving out of this house in a couple of weeks or so, I probably would not want these kinds of people to know where I live, because you just don't have respect for children. Now, regarding the debates, I do want to say this. By the time Andrew Wilson whipped out his phone and read that opening statement, it was clear to me that he was going to lose. As soon as he said the much trafficked quotation of, "You're going off vibes and dreams and no evidence," I knew that he was completely unfamiliar with my content. Like, he just decided to go to Turning Point and say, "I'll do this and I'll be macho," and had done no research. And I also had this micro win because earlier, you remember, I had said that one of the terms that I wanted, that I ended up conceding, was I wanted Turning Point to claim their horse. I wanted them to say that this is our guy. And he said he didn't want that done. We all knew that he was being sent by Erica and company, but he refused that term and said he had nothing to do with them. And then in the first 3 minutes of the debate, he makes it perfectly clear that Turning Point USA is backing him with this totally awkward, I have a never before seen message, wherein he just kind of makes Erica Kirk look like a big fat liar. Take a listen.
Yep.
I hold in my possession never before seen messages from Charlie Kirk to his security team on September 9th, 2025. I'm going to share the message with you today, which is the first time this information's ever been publicly revealed.
Ooh.
On September 9th, Charlie's security team wrote to him, "Yes, law enforcement has been fully supportive and agreed to a security plan and posture. Tomorrow's event will be covered by both my team and the campus PD. If additional support is required, patrol units will be available. I have 11 on site." Charlie responded with this, "Okay, great. Remind them that they are there for one person's security only, because I'm somewhat worried the left is trying to kill me." That was a message sent September 9th.
We knew that there was always going to be a threat, but Charlie and I we promised each other we would never live in fear. And he would say, if they're going to get me, they're going to get me.
Bro, she's evil.
But he was not messaging people the day before saying, I'm going to be murdered, they're coming after me, someone's going to kill me. He didn't say that. And I have his cell phone.
So which is it?
So for those of you who watch this show, that was the original Turning Point USA sin. That was the first episode that I did going after Erica, and I explained to people that she was lying.
Full circle moment.
I said she's lying. There's no way that I know that this text message exists and that this text message was sent from Dan Flood, and she doesn't. This is in December. This is in December that she's joining Glenn Beck, mid-December, that she is joining Glenn Beck and asserting that she has his phone. And then Turning Point tried to claim, which we met days after, because that's when I went, this is weird. Days after that is when Erica then came to Nashville and we had this summit. And what she told me, which how Andrew is making a very, very bad mistake here, she said, well, it was on Signal and the team's messages auto-delete on Signal. And she didn't know. So I guess Dan Flood didn't tell her. I guess Andrew Colvat, who was giving messages that he thought was relevant to the police, didn't think to give them a message that said the left is going to kill me. But particularly when we sat down, she was like, have you seen the message? And I said, no. And she said, oh, it said the left and it was on Signal. And I told you guys that was a double lie. She lied again. The message was actually sent on iMessage. Well, Andrew says he's going to be dropping this message because he actually didn't want to show the message for some reason. He wanted this big sort of weird opening where people are going to go, oh, and everyone just thought it was really strange for Turning Point USA to not have presented that message, which actually, if they really had a message that said this, their entire narrative has been the left killed Charlie Kirk. Why wouldn't you share that?
Yeah.
That seems weird. Why didn't you share that with authorities when you were sharing messages? And Andrew, we're supposed to believe you didn't tell her for 4 months, but you told me in September. And Erica went on Glenn Beck to debunk me and say I was a liar. And now it's just looking real bad for Turning Point USA. So fingers crossed, guys, because I always have a surprise. Fingers crossed that Andrew, who has promised that he's going to release this on his show because he's got evidence, actually does release that message, which is supposed to be on Signal, but I know for a fact is on iMessage. So, yeah. Anyway, moving on, as soon as the actual debate begins, I sort of declined to do an opening statement because it was just weird that he did that. It had nothing to do with the debate claims, of course. It was just taking cheap shots at Candace. The first thing he does is he concedes that there's reasonable doubt that Tyler Robinson did this. PBD asks us explicitly,
what are your thoughts on PBD? I felt that was super strange to talk about a debate winner in a business way. Well, I mean, I like him in general, but I guess post-debate after, yeah, he was kind of weak for not really saying that. And here's my thing. I tweeted this, or I commented on his Instagram, because he said, I think Andrew is actually more of the winner because it got him views and people know about him more. So, and he said that means it's successful. So I commented under his thing and said, views and people knowing about you doesn't equal success. Nobody knew nobody knew who Erica was. Now everybody does, and nobody likes her. So his argument there was weak because views and public acknowledgement does not equal success or victory. So it didn't really make sense. I like him overall, though. Like when Charlie went on his show in October of 23, I thought it was a really good show. I think he's pretty solid. I think he's a lot better than a lot of people out there for podcasters.
what percentage do you put this at? And here is what Andrew Wilson says.
Just out of curiosity, are you between 0 to 100? What is the likelihood that you think Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk and killed him?
Based on the evidence right now, I don't know. I'd say 75, 85%.
So overwhelming.
Okay, I win the debate. So I guess the evidence is not so overwhelming. We went from overwhelming to 75%. That's reasonable doubt. Let this man off. What? What are we even talking about? Who has ever been like, yes, 75% was overwhelming. Hey, how would you rank that restaurant? Like 75%. I was overwhelmed with how delicious the food was, and I put it at 75%. Like, what are we talking about? Why are we here? Mm-hmm. And I realized that he didn't really know why he was here. He didn't have any sort of a debate strategy other than to lie with confidence. It was just amazing to me how many times this man thought that he could just lie, not only about things that were happening in the case, but also about what was happening currently in the room during the debate. Like we're sitting here and he just was like, I'm a wizard. I'm a wizard. I have magic. I have a magic wand and I can just convince audiences that they didn't or did just hear something that happened 5 seconds ago. It was bonkers. I mean, the amount of people that were like, this is a strong sign of somebody with narcissistic personality disorder to confidently lie and try to gaslight you. Take a listen to just 2 times.
Yeah, show the clip.
You wrote the car pulling in. That's a totally blurry image. Robinson getting out of it. You have no idea if that's Tyler Robinson. The fact that he is seen 4 other times on camera, the fact being just a standard white boy with brown hair was seen walking up staircase. The DNA on the roof, we should discuss that. And on the screwdriver that he left behind, it's overwhelming, man.
Yeah, but that's not an exhaustive list.
Well, just so we're clear, you did tweet it.
But it's not an exhaustive.
Yeah,
well,
but just 5 seconds ago, you should concede.
You said I only said this one thing and said that was overwhelming, actually.
That's not what I said.
It is. You could even pull
Patrick,
your own
did I
clip.
say that?
Can you fact check if that was said or not? I did not hear her say
So the
this.
thing.
You listed on your own Twitter that what you found to be convincing was something that looked like his car pulled into the driveway, a blurry image.
No, I didn't.
The standard white guy coming up the steps that could literally be anyone.
This never happened. For you, though, to say that anybody's a girl boss, right? That's like the pot calling the kettle black.
That came out of your mouth.
No, that was you. You brought up girl boss.
Girl boss came out of your mouth.
It's a bizarre criticism. Like, nobody's in the bigger girl boss position than you.
Yeah, I'm actually...
You're in the biggest of the girl boss positions. Like, you don't have to do this. You just do this. You could definitely not do it at all and be fine.
It literally came out of his mouth. I never said girl boss. I was just answering and asking him to explain away how he shifted his position on now he suddenly supports Erica being a CEO. And then he started bringing up a girl boss. And he did this so many times. It was stunning. And people were just going, why? Maybe he has amnesia. Maybe it's not a strategy and he has amnesia. But to just assert something with such confidence and to keep lying over and over again was just shocking to me. We were probably less than an hour into it when I realized, by the way, that he was not okay, because I wanted to address that, this bizarre strategy of public gaslighting. And he, again, wrongly, but ever confidently, filled in the wrong blank when I said, are you? And this actually ended up being one of my favorite moments. Take a listen.
You didn't mention that I mentioned the screwdriver, DNA, all of these other things. You never mentioned any of that. So, no, you're actually incorrect there. But on top of that, moving over to the actual evidence itself.
Are you?
Yes, I'm okay. Anyway, back to the evidence
if you're
itself.
okay.
Yes,
Actually,
I'm fine.
I'm glad you're asserting that you're
But
okay.
back-
I wasn't worried about your health. I really don't think by that time he was okay. It was already apparent to me that he was kind of coming apart and he didn't really have an argument. And it was very obvious that he did not watch the preliminary hearing or any hearing for that matter. This is why he could not comprehend the contradiction of him claiming and calling people conspiracy theorists. You're a conspiracy theorist, and it's because of the way that you're looking at evidence. You're making inferences off of that evidence. Yeah. That's his whole thing. He couldn't comprehend the hypocrisy of that. When in fact, he was doing the exact same thing. If all of his evidence was being derived, which he felt was overwhelming, was being derived from a hearing wherein the prosecution was doing just that, looking at evidence and interpreting it however they wanted. A blurry image of a white man with brown hair. I think that's Tyler Robinson. Okay. I think that's not Tyler Robinson. He calls one a fact and the other one a conspiracy theory. This was the whole point of a hearsay, of the hearsay Utah 1102. And if he had watched how many times they discussed this 1102 rule, it was basically like, yeah, we allow this at this stage. It's probative. He would have understood why I was pointing out this hypocrisy. But he quite literally could not quite grasp that concept in a way that was frustrating for me, and so much that I had to tell him, I can explain it to you, but I cannot understand it for you. Yeah. Right? We all have our professional limitations. This is one of mine. I cannot. It's like being in a class and you just have that one student that's not grasping something that seems to the rest of us to be a really easy concept, and he's going, I don't understand. Why do you keep saying it's here? What is 1102? What is this? What does it matter? Because this grants us all the ability, whether inside or out of the courtroom, to look at evidence and then to infer upon that evidence. In fact, that's what people are doing in any court case, actually. Both sides are doing that. They're in dispute. One side is saying, I infer this. One side is saying, I infer the opposite. And here is the evidence. And the jury makes a decision. Anyway, it was very clear to me that because he was weak on the case and didn't know anything, he wanted out of debating the evidence altogether. He didn't want to talk about the degraded prince. Who says, so what? So what? What do you mean, so what? I'm trying to tell you why there is just as much evidence here, the evidence that you say is enough to say that he did it, to say that he was set up as a patsy. I'm trying to prove my claim, but he said, nope, let's go to a new phase. And the next phase was very reminiscent to me of when you learn a new vocab word and you just want to use it. It was like a term he had just learned yesterday or something, and that term was positive evidence. Yes. He just thought that if I keep saying it, people at home will think I'm really smart and intellectual. And frankly, it just came across as bizarre. Like, this is just a little bit of him saying positive evidence.
Let's talk about the Foreign Legion.
Sure.
Was the Foreign Legion, do you believe, trying to kill you?
Yes, that's why I reported it to the correct officials in government. That's what I was told, and I handed over that information to Tulsi Gabbard's office.
What's your best piece of evidence for that?
Well, it was
positive evidence.
This would be at a professional limitation for me to then go and probe that information that I handed over. I can't do that. I'm not the United States government.
But you don't have any positive evidence of that,
okay.
right?
Liz, can you just stop? It's actually just like annoying to hear you keep saying positive evidence.
Do you have any positive evidence whatsoever that Israel killed Charlie Kirk?
That he stopped and ate at Chick-fil-A, which if you are into LGBTQ issues, wouldn't be your lunch before you go kill Charlie Kirk for LGBTQ issues, because, you know.
Yeah, but do you have positive evidence?
We cannot say for certainty that Israel called the shots and this is how it happened, but it is definitively, I think, a thread that a lot of us would like to see.
Say there's no positive evidence. Don't you think that like tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people would want to know what Candace Owens' positive evidence for why it is that Israel and France were involved in the most traumatic public assassination of Gen Z's lifetime is? She had no positive evidence Israel's involved in anything.
She's laughing.
No positive evidence that France is involved in anything. No positive evidence TPUSA is involved in anything. No positive evidence that Erica Kirk is involved in anything.
Genuinely, like, it was maddening. I just, could you just stop saying that term? You do not sound smart. You don't need positive evidence for your opinions. You just don't. You're like, hey, I think chicken sandwiches are better than cheeseburgers. But what's your positive evidence? Well, I just think that. Well, what's your you have to have positive evidence. How would I have to have positive evidence for me receiving a threat and me taking it to the authorities? Could you imagine if the world worked like that? Like you receive a threat and someone's like, hey, you should know if this person is plotting to kill you. And you go to the police station and you're like, here's the person who told me this. He's going to kill me. And the police are like, well, what's your positive evidence? My positive evidence, I'm reporting the threat, officer. I don't know how. I want you to do your job now and go figure out if this is viable. They're telling me this. Well, what's your positive evidence? My positive evidence is me coming to you with the evidence that I have and expecting you to investigate it because that's your duty. I mean, that limitation, it was really funny. I saw a meme, I think we're going to actually show it later, of people just being like, does he think that if you think the FBI is involved and you think that they planned this assassination, that the government's going to help you find the positive evidence for this stuff?
I saw that.
Well, JFK, I guess it was all above board because you have to have positive evidence,
So crazy.
and only the CIA can give you that positive evidence, and they've blacked out the documents, so you just can't speculate about it. I mean, it's just bonkers. I'm allowed to think what I think about Erica Kirk. I think she's suspicious, and then I remind him. I flip the script. And I say, well, what's your positive evidence for you having asserted, as he did before he went to Turning Point USA headquarters in May, he tweeted that he thinks that Erica Kirk is too retarded to kill her husband. And so I'm like, well, what's your positive evidence for that? Are you allowed to just have opinions? And then he's like, oh, I'm allowed to have opinions. And he says he thinks that all women are retards. And sure, if you're sitting across from a woman that you're paying $100,000 an hour to speak to, I don't think anyone's walking away thinking that women are dumb in this situation. That's my opinion.
And
I have no
he's
positive
married to
evidence.
one, so it's like,
But I think most people walked away and thought you were the idiot.
yeah.
Anyway, next he did what he was obviously sent here to do, and you could just see his whole posture is changing. He's not feeling confident. He realizes he just said the words positive evidence too many times. Nobody cares. No one thinks you're brilliant. And it's quite annoying. And then it moves to this phase where it's very obvious to me that he is trying to entrap me in a lawsuit by getting me to complete sentences in a way that would fall into legal defamation, right? He's asking me and he's surprising me. And this is very Steven Crowder coded. Like to have clips, just so you guys in the background, we told them, if you want to send us clips ahead of time, and as you saw, we had no clips planned. We just said, we just want fact checkers in there because we may arrive at certain points where we dispute what we're saying. And rather than going back and forth with like, yes, they did say this, or yes, she did, or Kathy Nesser did, we can just ask them to do a quick fact check. And because there's a lot of information going on in this case, and sometimes you just genuinely forget things, as I did, genuinely. I didn't accuse him of lying. I said, I don't remember the text about the surveillance thing. Can we get a fact check on that? And we did. That was the purpose of having fact checkers.
Yeah.
Never did I imagine, of course, because he didn't share who his team was, or I maybe would have considered it, that he was, what he really spent his time doing while I was prepping for the debate, he was prepping to try to do some gotcha clips and to come in as Erica Kirk's lawyer. You know, I'm not with Turning Point USA, but if I got to get you on record with defaming Turning Point USA. And he did this in a way that could not have been more obvious of trying to sort of trick me into a lawsuit. Take a listen.
Do you have any evidence that Erica Kirk or TPUSA participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
I've never said they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk, so how could I say that I have evidence they participated in the murder of Charlie Kirk?
Okay. So then you don't believe that they did?
I never have said that statement, so I'm not going to get you to ask me personal questions about things that I've never said on record.
Okay. That officer, the first officer that was up on the roof,
Mm-hmm.
do you remember his name?
Christopher.
Officer Bagley.
Yeah, what was his first name?
Christopher.
Christopher.
That's why she's the GOAT. Bro, she was just stone cold. He thought he had her because she was like, what was that officer's name? And he was like, yeah, I'll get her. She doesn't know his first name. He's like, oh, what's his first name? She's like, Christopher. Aura. Straight aura. This is why he got cooked, dude. He wasn't built for this, bro. Turning Point sent him. He wasn't built for this. He wasn't built for this. That's why Candace is the GOAT. She was trained, like, you know what this is the equivalent of? This is like, I'm going off on a movie tangent. I don't care. This is the equivalent of Yoda training, like, freaking Luke Skywalker. Charlie Kirk was the master debater. So for her to just, like, cook this guy, I'm not surprised by it because she was literally like his Padawan, and she said that. She was like, the student has become the master. So I don't know what he was thinking. Well, I actually know what he was thinking. He was paid behind the scenes, and he got cooked. So Yeah. Let's just watch
his
it
name?
again.
Never said on record.
Okay, that officer, the first officer that was up on the roof.
Yeah.
Do you remember his name?
Officer Bagley.
Yeah, what was his first name?
Christopher.
Aura.
Christopher.
Aura.
When Christopher got up on the roof, you talk a lot about how his camera died.
Well, he talked a lot about that during the
About
preliminary
his camera
hearing.
died.
Yeah.
Do you think that he planted that screwdriver up there?
No.
No. Who do you think planted it?
If we're just going on am I allowed to have an opinion?
Of course.
At this stage, I would say that I don't buy his assertion on the stand that he didn't check to see if anybody went onto the rooftop before he got up there. I do think that it's possible, it's at least plausible that the screwdriver was planted. I don't believe him. What I can say strongly is that his cam died at just the right time. His body cam died at just the right time. I think that, as you were just grilling me about whether or not I had got the merchant receipt for a debit card, that kind of makes it difficult that we just have to sort of trust that a screwdriver was found and we don't have any should-be evidence of a police body cam.
That right there is why it is impossible for me to think that Erica Kirk is not complicit somehow. Because what?
Those two thoughts actually don't even follow. How would it be the case that even if Erica Kirk did believe that Tyler Robinson was 100% responsible for the death of Charlie Kirk, let's just say she believed it with every fiber of her being, believed all the evidence, because she did. She just actually did. Would it then follow that somehow she's complicit in his death?
I didn't say complicit in death. You added those two words.
Okay, so what's she complicit in?
Yes. Look at his face. You could just see it. You could just see the dishonesty there, right? So what she complicit, it's like that sentence was so planned. That was so planned. Complicit in his death. That's not what we were discussing. We were talking about the fact, Erica, I forgive him, implies that Tyler Robinson is guilty. Tyler Robinson is up for the death sentence. And when you are someone who is going around signaling to the public that this person did it, and we assume that you have more evidence, you've seen something, which was the broad assumption, as I explained, and it comes to find out that you had nothing different than the public had, people are going to go, this feels wrong. This feels like wrongdoing. Like you're potentially, getting a jury, what could be a jury, to believe that this is the person who committed murder, and the consequence he will face is death. So I could just see that move there. If that was so Daily Wire coded, I would say. They love lawsuits. They love legal entrapments. That's what that felt like to me. And I could sense it from a mile away. And then I could sense that he was growing frustrated that I would not take the bait. I'm smarter than that. And I then called him out for having played 3 Erica clips like in a row. You're sitting here saying you're not here on behalf of Turning Point USA, but you start with an opening text that only Turning Point USA could have given you, that they have not given to the public, and now you're playing 3 clips in defense of her. Yeah, that then led to, because he started getting agitated, that I didn't take the bait. So he's like failed on 1, he's failed on 2. That then led to the internet's most awkward silence, where he just says that I'm not allowed to speak. And by the way, because he lies with confidence, people who were watching this thought that there must have been something contractually that prevented me from speaking or allowed him to pepper questions at me. Both are false. That's what makes this especially funny. There's absolutely no contract clause that I allowed him to sit me for a deposition, because I refused it immediately. I was like, that just sounds crazy. And there was no contract clause that suggested that I couldn't ask him questions at any point in our discussion, not even kind of, sort of. He was just genuinely coming apart and growing really antsy. And he lies with so much confidence that the internet just assumes, like, no, there must be something. No, there was nothing. Here's that painful internet silence.
Was it when they were waiting for a clip?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
ask a question? I know it's been, or like, can I ask a question? Or are we
Not
just
really. I'm just gonna.
Okay.
We're going to hold to the actual contract itself.
the contract does not say that you are allowed to just question me without me being able to respond to you
I've never said you
or
can't
have
respond.
a conversation.
You've been able to respond to every question I've asked you. And by the way, the other thing is like,
Let's have
I'm
it your
still-
way. I want it to look like
Still happy
we've
to have
done
the
everything
debate.
Andrew wanted to, so that people can fairly assess the situation. So you have it your way. I
Totally
will not
fine.
ask a question.
Totally fair with me.
So are you good with her asking a question or
He
no?
said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay, so you want to wait for the clip first. Okay.
Watch her look at the
You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
Watch her look at the ceiling. This is so funny. Look at her face. Wait, watch her look at the ceiling. It's so funny. Watch her look at the
You need the
ceiling.
Jeopardy
Your team
thing.
told me they had it, so
That's what I heard. Okay, there we
come
go.
on, guys.
This is so bad.
Like, it was so painful. So what I think happened was, because I called him out, I said, like, you have 4 Erica Kirks, and he was like, I wasn't 4, and PBD's like, it was 3. I think what happened was they had another Erica Kirk in queue, and then they just abandoned it. They just were like, we can't run this, and so then they ran this totally irrelevant, what was supposed to be a Lance bomb, but I naturally corrected myself very early on in our discussion, and I didn't realize that he was plotting this as some like big explosion, like Candace got it wrong. They never officially said that Lance's DNA was on the rifle. And so they just kind of played that, and it was weird. And I allowed it. I totally allowed the silence because never get in the way of your opponent when they're making a mistake. It was such a completely nutty thing to say and to do. No, I'm just gonna wait for the clip. You can't say anything. And it was a lie. And I thought, let him do this because it's just going to demonstrate his emotional instability, that he is trying to assert control because he knows that he's lost it. Also, I was not going to argue with him about a non-existent contract clause and waste energy. I mean, or just debate about the contract seemed ridiculous. And lastly, if you consider it, I made $418.63 during that 16-second silence. What is there to complain about?
Bro, she did the math. Wait, hold on.
Clause and waste energy. I mean, or just debate about the contract seemed ridiculous. And lastly, if you consider it, I made $418.63 during that 16-second silence. What is there to complain about? You want me to be quiet? What do you? Okay. I gotcha. I'll be silent. It's a lot of money to make to be quiet.
Bro.
Then came the most viral moment after he
funny,
permitted me to speak again, after the clip was a nothing burger. And it happened accidentally, okay? So I felt bad that viewers had to listen through him simping for Erica for so long. We had agreed to discuss this case. I, as you know, had said to him, we should discuss the screwdriver, we should discuss the towel. And I tried to then change the topic back to the case. And I made the wrong assumption that Andrew Wilson had read the last filing, the filing for dismissal, which dropped 2 days before our debate. And my positive evidence for that assumption was that Andrew Wilson himself had tweeted about the filing as though it was helpful to his case. He tweeted about the filing, and they were all lying about what the filing was. And here he retweeted somebody else who said, skimmed it. The Tyler Robinson defense is on absolute life support. And then he wrote back, picked a hell of a week. So I was like, obviously, he must have read this filing. And I read through the filing, and just to show you.
Oh, she has it?
As I do with everything, for those of you guys who've been following me since the Blake thing, marked it up, took notes, and thought there were some really compelling arguments here. So I came prepared that we were going to discuss the most recent filing as one of his wrong talking points, that the Tyler Robinson admitted to the text messages being real or one thing or another. So
she's so cool.
I also just sort of thought that even if he didn't read the book, he would have at least read the last chapter before taking the exam. You know what I mean? Every person knows that if you're going to try to BS and pretend that you read the book, you better read the last chapter in case a character dies before you try to write an essay, right? And I was wrong. I was floored when I saw him again do that obvious tell of his false bravado. He just lies. Of course, I mean, the manner that this man lies, it should be taught in a psych course. I've never seen anything like it, and I just recognized it. Now I was familiar with his style. When I asked him which charge specifically he thought Tyler Robinson was guilty of, it was because I wanted to make sure I didn't make an assumption that he was more flexible in other areas as we dove into this recent filing. And when he did the false, of course, bring it up, I went, oh, he doesn't know any of them. And so this obviously became the most discussed moment. This man came in to debate Tyler Robinson's guilt and did not know guilty of what. Take a listen.
Cooked.
Which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge? Yeah. So I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah. Can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But
Can
I
you-
want to
can you
make sure
name
that we
one?
have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not
Is
following
that
the
it?
case.
That's the
Yeah.
question. You're
Yeah,
just not following it enough.
It seems pretty like if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty, I just think that you should.
All
Like,
right.
Can you tell me one?
Then let's do the
charge that
counter.
he's-
You can really, hang on. This is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play
Yeah.
clips out of context,
Yeah,
put
yeah.
me in the hot seat. So please just answer the
This
question.
is fair.
Can
Name
you
all
name-
7
can
since
you-
you've been following the case.
Okay, sure. You
Go
name
ahead.
you
Or,
name one.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like.
Name all 7.
And I.
Can
I
you
think
name all 7?
I can't.
Then do it.
Sure, you don't have to
Do
put
it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
Look at
your. You don't have
Name
to
'em.
put your fingers up. I
Okay,
can do
hang on.
that.
Name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder because that's what carries
Okay.
a death
So
sentence in the
murder.
state of Utah. No,
Next.
that's not. That is literally not murder.
Okay.
And so
Next.
just for people, no, don't. I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined,
Just
and because
avoiding
it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you'll be better the next time you debate
I got
someone.
it. I got it.
Dude.
Give me the other ones.
yeah. The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want
away?
you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this.
So
I'm
bad, dude.
also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I
Okay,
actually
well, I
am
got
under no
one.
time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
And what's
final,
the specific charges, though?
that is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those?
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no.
it.
Just the charges and then 7?
Yeah, see, the bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence in front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder.
Shook. Shaken.
Hold on, I got this. Get him a body bag, bro.
I mean, like, it's just, I can't even imagine what it must be like. I mean, I know his wife is equally as bad, but it's just such a liar. Like, why say, of course, why not just say, I actually don't know the specific charges, which would have been crazy, but it's this false bravado. This is how he debates. He
Dug
just
himself in a
lies
hole.
confidently and just lies. And then when you recognize it and you call him out on the lie, he falls apart and he starts sinking more and more and more into the chair, sweating, developed some things in his teeth, and that entire personality of a man just could never jive with me. Like, I would never for a single second be intimidated by that because it's, like I said, false bravado. There's nothing here that's remotely intimidating. You're just an idiot dressed up as
All
some
thinking
like
gay.
blood sport debater, bro. There's nothing weaker than not just saying, oh, I don't know that. I would like to know what the answer to that is. And I was hoping we would actually be able to have that constructive dialogue. I was upset that we could not spend more time discussing this case. And once that happened, he was completely deflated. I mean, Andrew Wilson was very lost. And it was almost like he had to remember things they wanted him to bring up. It was very obvious that his foot just wanted out. I think his foot wanted to tell the truth. The foot was just, it wanted out. They were like, oh, the foot holds the truth, Andrew lies, but the foot just doesn't want to be there. His boot, he was literally shaking in his boots. I don't know what was going on there. And he couldn't kind of regain any sort of composure.
No.
I didn't understand anything he was getting at beyond that. He started that bizarre inquisition about my show's timeline, demanding to know why it was my show's official timeline and why I had included Tyler Robinson and Pengwich eating a steak. I don't know if he's just averse to organization. Like, I love organizing. Timelines make sense to me. I love highlighting them. I love putting timestamps. I'm very proud of that. I I don't know what he was getting at. He just wanted to know. I'm like, I spoke to the owner. The owner told me that he pulled the receipt, that it was Tyler Robinson's receipt. And so I included this on my timeline. And then the receipt that was shared was the real receipt. And then he's like, well, why didn't you ask the merchant? Like, he's like, this is still not evidence. You gotta call Visa and MasterCard. I mean, take a listen to what he said. It was so absurd.
Well, the reason I'm asking you is because you always include it in your timeline that he traveled to the steakhouse.
Yeah, we've been building a timeline with things that we feel are
But is there any actual
Utah 1102
evidence?
approved. I think speaking to the owner, knowing that there's a receipt, seeing the receipt is good enough to put on our timeline.
But the receipt itself, the question I always had about it is, couldn't you just call the merchant? Like, if I've ever had a merchant account, I just call the merchant account processor and say, what's the name on this?
Yeah, I would stay tuned. I feel that having spoken to the owner, that the evidence is compelling enough to put onto my personal timeline of what took place on that day. That's where it's going to stay. And if it gets debunked, I'm happy to take it off. If that's what you mean, that's how an investigation works. Like I said, I did more than enough. It would definitely pass the test by the Utah 1102 rule, for sure, for certain.
To be submitted as hearsay.
Well, yeah, beyond that, because they didn't even have receipts. They were like, Bob told me this.
But the question is, the receipt itself, it has not been verified to have been Tyler Robinson's.
Yeah, I just want to say you're holding me to a higher standard than you are.
I'm not even holding it. I'm just
prosecution.
asking specifically.
Yeah, I've been very forthcoming. I've told exactly what happened. I spoke to the owner. I got the tip, and
So should that be added in an official timeline that you give?
It's in my timeline. It's my show, and we can add and subtract what we want, and we do. If
You
we
can
get
do
something
what you
wrong,
want, sure, but I'm
I just wanted to
asking,
make sure.
should you include a thing that you know hasn't actually been verified to be Tyler Robinson's?
Yes, you should. If we're trying to build a timeline, you should. Yeah.
You don't think that falls
And then
under...
you should remove it if someone somehow debunks it. But I think that there is very strong evidence that is where he was, and that
What's the strong evidence? Just the two people who said that they saw him?
You know, I'm actually all good with being. I feel like
Okay.
I've sufficiently answered your question about how I got
All
the
right, fair enough.
information, what happened next. Would the next stage of this investigation being somebody accessing knowing what his debit card was and confirming it? Yes, and I do believe that will happen. If it does not happen and it gets debunked, I'll remove it from my personal timeline that I share on my show. He's like the first person account of the server saying that he served him. They contacted the FBI. He shared his experience. He recognized Tyler Robinson on the news. He gave an interview. The owner, I spoke to him. He's like, none of that is positive evidence. I'm legitimately held to a higher standard than the FBI. Meanwhile, we got the lead investigator on the case up there, and they're asking him during the preliminary hearing, how did you know that the maroon person walking up the stairs was the same person as the individual who was wearing the black shirt later that day? And he says, they were both wearing Converse sneakers. Andrew says that's compelling. Tweets that's a part of the overwhelming evidence. Okay, they're both. Did you call Visa and MasterCard? Beyond speaking to all of these people, beyond the receipt, did you call to confirm Visa with the merchant that this was in fact the Tyler Robinson who was up? No, actually, I haven't done that. But you know what? My timeline is going to stay my timeline. I'm proud of my timeline. I'm a very organized person. My pantry is very clean. I love the Container Store. I use label makers for everything, even my seasonings in my cabinet. I have label makers in my refrigerator. So I will not allow you to tell me about how my timeline should be organized. That's what I want to say. I almost lost it there. Suburban moms who have organized pantries, stand up. At the end of the day, I am so embarrassed for Turning Point USA. I cannot imagine Erica hugging this person. I've got to show you guys more clips. He is literally disgusting. Yeah. Right. And they thought this guy was going to be able to take me down. I was trained by Charlie Kirk, and they sent me Andrew Wilson.
That's the GOAT.
But I will say, on a positive note, it was bittersweet because it was just amazing to remember all of those things that Charlie told me not to do, not to fall for. Don't start attacking him personally. I did not engage in that. He opened with that ad hominem attacks against me. Remembering to always overstudy. Like, I took it very seriously. Obviously, I was not planning gotcha clips, but I was marking up filings, reminding myself, rewatching the preliminary hearing, going back to the timeline to remind myself, because so much has transpired, obviously, in 11 months. And Charlie used to always tell me that you see people get crushed in these sorts of debates who are overconfident, and then there's just like the one kid who asks a question that throws them off and it goes viral. So never underestimate your opponent. I didn't know what to expect, and I obviously not expect that he was just going to be one of these weird middle-aged men with gotcha clips. I thought he was genuinely going to read at least one of the case filings or know one of the charges, but it was like I said, good to go through that again, and to be studying and to do the thing that he said with the note cards. I did every single thing that Charlie told me to do, and to stay calm when they're trying to poke you, be aware of people that are trying to put you into these sorts of legal traps. And it genuinely, when it concluded, we were just like cheering. We were so happy. Bittersweet, obviously, because I never thought in any of that learning with Charlie that it would one day be me debating someone that his organization clearly sent. But such is life, and I'm happy that it is me that is exposing what his organization has become in the wake of his assassination.
Yeah, it is crazy because Charlie Kirk is the biggest threat to Turning Point USA. He's the biggest threat. His old clips threaten them. His old clips expose their lies, whether it's about Candace, whether it's about Israel, whether it's about the war in Iran, whether it's about thought processes, unfriending people, who he platforms and lets talk, all this stuff. So Turning Point's biggest adversary, even in death, is Charlie Kirk. And that's who he taught. That is his prime student right there. And she did what he said, and she destroyed him. She destroyed what Turning Point tried to do. It backfired on them. So that's like a full circle moment. Like, if you want to talk about like destiny or like fate or whatever, dude, those text messages where Charlie said, "Be my David," like, this is the beginning of that, dude. This is the beginning of that. And I think that she will change the world, just like he said. And they like to forget that. They like to forget that they were very close friends. They like to forget that he literally taught her the ropes, dude, of debating. So Turning Point is in a big trouble because they just poked the bear, and that is a very pregnant Candace, and it's not going to go well for them because it has never gone well for them because they're a bunch of liars. So freaking awesome, dude.
Anyway, we'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys. Waiting. Your company. Pure Talk said it gave the Apple page Tom saying today. Okay, so much that I want to say about the reaction on the internet. It was fantastic. First and foremost, I don't think the left and right have ever been united on anything. Mm-hmm. But in our general sense of what Turning Point USA has become, we're united. Genuinely, he performed so badly, like not even the neocons would touch it. The best they could do for Andrew Wilson was to say, it was unwatchable. No one, I couldn't even watch it. So it doesn't even matter how anybody did. And everyone who was backing him just sort of backed off immediately, and they're doing their best, but they can't pretend. The memes have been exceptional from the left and from the right. They have been exceptional, mocking him. It's amazing to see. This man is not a conservative, by the way. I'm so sick of these like wannabe, like C-list people that come out and then just call themselves conservatives, but obviously live their lives in a way that is anything but. They're complete frauds. Yeah. I'm going to go through some of my favorite memes. Andrew, first off, coming out and declaring that he won by asking, not ChatGPT, he asked Claude. And Claude told him, since every poll said he didn't win with humans, he then went to Claude and drummed up a conversation, I guess. And Claude told him he really was the winner. He really was the winner. Everyone who's a human didn't like you, but the robot community loves you. And he did tweeted this. Every AI source will say I won. This was never in question. Specific AI programs built for this purpose. He actually ended up getting a fact check on this, and people explained that it's just AI is scraping from establishment sources. Yeah. And we all know the establishment is behind Turning Point USA. But this is just the most pathetic thing I've ever seen. He literally crashed markets, by the way. During the debate, I didn't know that Polymarket had odds on whether or not Tyler Robinson would be convicted. And during the debate, the odds crashed.
No way.
That represents our debate day, where you see that line going down. Yo. That is how poorly he performed. Tyler Robinson, convicted of homicide, dropped into the 30s. I think it hit 34% during our debate. which was positively hilarious. But I'm going to show you some of my favorite memes. So you might have seen on the thumbnail, if you are not following this account, I think it's Wear Forbidden Clothing is the @ handle. I want to make sure I get that correct.
Please show them.
They are so funny. For
so
years,
good.
actually, I've been following them. They are so funny. But this video that they created,
Is
this
it the
AI
Matrix
video,
one?
which went viral this
Please be the
weekend,
Matrix
and
one.
which is represented, as I said, on my thumbnail, just tickled me so much.
Please
Of
be the Matrix
Erica
one.
calling in Andrew after that abysmal performance. Take a listen and a watch
Please
of
be
this.
the Matrix one. Yes. Oh no, this is the wrong.
Wait, I can explain.
Shabbat Shalom, Andrew.
What?
We invested a lot in you.
I was having nicotine withdrawal. The chair was uncomfortable. I barely slept. My foot was...
Silence!
She asked you to name one of the 7 charges. You said positive evidence 47 times.
It was a framework.
47 times, Andrew. Bring me the jar.
No, please, not the pickles.
Yes, dude. So
Jars wide shut. And just to correct that, the handle is @ Wear Forbidden on X. And the reason why it's Jars wide shut is because this goes back to a moment where he was being disrespectful to a woman who couldn't open a jar. I think it was actually of olives or pickles on the whatever podcast, and he was smoking a cigarette, and then she said, okay, then you open it, and he couldn't open it. So now he's kind of called Pickle Boy, and that, again, his false bravado all the time is what gets him into these circumstances. I absolutely loved that. I also loved the stages of grief. Everybody grieves differently. So he's grieving by first talking to Claude. The 5 stages of debate grief. This is from @Alpha Approved. They write denial. I totally won that debate. Number 2, anger. That was rigged, biased, unfair. That's actually going to happen. His wife. Number 3, bargaining. Okay, maybe I lost, but Candace is worse. Number 4, depression. Why do I even debate? And number 5, acceptance, which will come, which will say, he will come out and say, all right, maybe I should have prepared. Maybe I should have known one of the charges. We are at phase 1, and we are also at phase 2, which I can give you an example of. His wife trying to suggest that we maybe rigged the mic pieces is crazy. Okay, I have one in my ear right now. It allows us to hear what the producers are saying. As I told you, his guy Rob, who was very professional and kind, so no shade to Rob, was sitting next to them. And that's why he was saying, could you pull a clip or whatever? His team was right next to my team, and these earpieces do not work beyond 15 feet out of the control room. So they just, and Andrew will tell you that every time he got up, he had to reset it. They don't work. So there's no one else that could possibly be talking in your ear because of the structure of our walls. So anyway, Rachel responds, who's his like horrific wife, responds to somebody trying to pretend that I was receiving intel on that last question because they're still coping over this. Was Candace Owens being fed answers? Something about the debate caught my attention. Both Candace and Andrew appeared to be wearing in-ear monitors. So what are these actually used for? And he kind of goes through all this. I literally turned these people into a conspiracy theorist by the end of it. Yep. He started off by calling us conspiracy theorists, and then by the end of it, he was going through my phone and thought that I was texting people for answers. Yep. That's amazing. That's a flawless victory. Yep. That's a flawless victory. To end it with him suggesting a conspiracy where what I was actually doing when he came back in the chair, because I barely got up. I literally only got up one time he went up every break. I did not get up. I was tweeting. You guys saw me tweet right before that. I sent one tweet. I texted nobody during the entire debate because I was focused. I was locked in. But then I was like, I'm going to send a funny tweet because I feel pretty confident I won this. And when he came back, he saw me doing that and thought that I texted someone, which is very funny. And guess what? The answer to a conspiracy theory, I demonstrated for him. Here's my phone. Just answer the question. Mm-hmm. Make the person feel comfortable. You don't have to go crazy. And it's the one thing Turning Point USA does not want to do at all is answer any questions. They just want to send these debate bros, I guess, out. But this was absolutely hilarious that I thought that meme was fantastic. We also created our own meme because I used to be anti Turning Point USA shills, but he's different. I don't want anybody referring to Andrew Wilson as a paid shill. Andrew Wilson's not a paid shill. This is like the Drizzy meme. TPUSA sending paid shills, not cool. TPUSA sending shills that pay, we're with it. We're with it. Send more, Turning Point. That's how you'll show them. Pay $100,000 an hour to be embarrassed. Genius. What a great idea. That's amazing. That's my new rate, $100,000 if you want me to embarrass you. He must be into that or whatever. Anyways, his wife had responded to that.
and pretended, like tried to add to it. Like, I know that they had headpieces, but I'm not really sure why they had these headpieces. I believe the contract stipulated that each of them was allowed to wear an earpiece. That's just a lie. Why do they lie so much? Why do they lie all the time? No, the earpieces, which he and I were sharing left and right, were just a producer. Our producers, we all heard the exact same thing, and PBD had a direct line to them. Then this cope was hilarious because obviously Steven Crowder is somehow invested in this, and just never growing up. And when he did I guess he was on the phone with Andrew Wilson right after the debate, was speaking to him. He kind of tried to imply like one way that we tried to hurt him was by not providing him with hair and makeup, because he looked like he was sweating, like that was our fault or something. Take a listen to this absurd exchange.
In the car? Yeah.
Did they Nixon JFK you? Because she has a full stylist and makeup crew. Did they give you makeup and no. You looked a little bit.
I would have refused.
You looked a little bit shiny. You looked a little shiny.
Refused it.
You looked a little shiny.
Yeah, it looked a little shiny. It happens.
I don't even know what to say about it. It's just, it's like, first and foremost, we do not have, like, again, asserting something confidently and lying. I know they have wardrobe. We do not have, and nor have we ever had wardrobe. We do not have a full-time makeup artist. We do not have a full-time hairstylist, none of that. So in between takes, I take care of myself always. That's it. Everybody knows that my cousin does my hair. She's the one that gives me the blowouts and takes care of my hair. People have known this for years, since before I was even a podcaster. She has been taking care of my hair. And our makeup artist was actually off that day. She does a glam and go, though. So it's like in the morning, she comes in and then she leaves. So this being a point, like as if PBD, somebody was coming out and flying in and making him look good and making me look good, that this is how much these people were coping, like trying to find a conspiracy to make it seem like there was something that was not fair. If you look greasy, pull up a mirror instead of going out and having a cigarette and having a smoke and, powder your own face. I don't know what to tell you. We're a small team and we're just not, we don't care about things like that. We don't want to spend a bunch of money on things to make ourselves feel important. And my favorite of the copes was his wife conceding exactly what us conspiracy theorists have been saying since the very beginning, is that actually the grifters are these people. They know nothing about the case at all. They just want to go on TV and say, oh, this person's scared of me. This person won't debate. They don't know anything. So she writes this long tweet, and it's right there in yellow. She says, of course Candace will know the details better. So she admits, I knew the details better. She's been covering this day in and day out for 11 months and doing practically nothing else. Andrew had about 6 days to prepare. There's no way he was going to beat her on having more knowledge of the details. Goodness, Rachel. Wow. This is a wife that, so she admits that I beat him on that. Which stands against his I won the debate, but also she admits he doesn't care about this. He walked into Turning Point USA headquarters in June and came out flashing around money and suddenly tweeting at me and attacking me, because that's what they orchestrate at Turning Point USA headquarters. This is no longer a serious organization that cares about whether or not people are living their lives admirably. This is no longer, it is crazy to me that if you just go through the clips and learning about Andrew and Rachel Wilson, this is who they tied their horse to, and this is who they're feeding information to, that any person would willfully donate to them, that any person would want their child to sign up for this conservative organization that is not representing conservative principles. No. My opinion, by the way. What's my positive evidence for it? Andrew Wilson. Is that positive evidence? I don't know. What does it all mean? Yeah. Can it be my opinion that Turning Point USA is a dumpster fire? Because that's what it is. I do want to address this very quickly. I realize we are now way over time. I don't know if we're going to have time for book club because I didn't realize I had so many words to say. But people were randomly, as soon as I said I would take it. So first it's she's scared. There's money on the table. And that's what I'm doing wrong. I'm being scared and not taking the money. Then I take the money, exactly what he offers, $200K. And I'm the bad guy because how could I take the money? These people are insane. They're just insane. There's no way to make them happy. They can't leave you alone and let you just investigate the case. Yep. Because you got to, the money's on the table.
Candace Owens,
and then they chastise you for taking the money. And they were all instantly like, Candace needs to establish a trust for Erica Kirk. Like the people outside of Michael Knowles, the people that I absolutely despise, all saying this in unison, that I need to donate this money and establish a trust for Charlie's children. And then people just randomly telling me what I should do with the money. Like, for example, this person, multimillionaire Candace Owens,
should donate her victory money to Tyler Robinson's defense if she really thinks that he's innocent. Andrew Wilson put his money where his mouth is. Why doesn't Candace? Like, I didn't offer Tyler Robinson publicly go across things and say, I'm going to prove to people that I think he's innocent, I'm going to give 300. I never did that. I don't do that, those sorts of things. That's not what I do. I'm not braggadocious, and nor would any person who knows the least bit about finance be so stupid as to spend $300,000 to have a conversation with someone who debates for free. Always do my annual debates with Piers Morgan. They're for free. Been debating all across college campus. I was doing that for free. I've had debates with Rabbi Shmuley, who I can't stand, on Piers Morgan for free. And so it's just so interesting that actually my entire life, all these people ever do is message me kindly and respectfully and ask for a debate. No one has to throw money around. That's how it works. I've hosted debates. There's been no money involved. This is unique because Turning Point USA just hates me this much. And we're obviously, Blake Neff and Andrew Colvett were retweeting him as he was going after me and offering more and more money. And now they think the solution to that is for me to open a trust for Charlie's children, which in a way, I know it's not, but it feels like money laundering. The organization that's hunting me, you want me to then give the money to the person who would be in control. That would, at first, of course, would be Erica. First and foremost, what I want to say is there are a few things I despise more than fake altruism. People who do charity as a part of a PR program and not because it's necessary or needed. And Charlie Kirk's children have been multimillionaires while he was alive, and that increased in his death. Many people opened trusts, raised money. The last thing that Charlie Kirk's children need is more money. What they need is a stable parent, and unfortunately, I can't give them that. Right? I can't give them that. Mom doesn't want to be home. Dad can't be home. And the one thing they need is not a bunch of influencers using them as a talking point and suggesting that 300 more K could plausibly make a difference. And like I said, there's something about it that just feels icky. Like the very people who sent the person to hunt you are basically trying to create a peer pressure campaign for you to give the money back. Like that's not going to stand for me. And so instead, what I would like to announce that I am doing with my money thus far, what I've decided, other than the fact that I did go to Waffle House this weekend, is I'm going to take care of the people who took care of me. As this organization has fixated, sent influencers, is a part and parcel of these group chats that are coming together, protect Erica Kirk, of people who have attempted to make our children feel unsafe, that they have gotten behind, retweeted, supported. I'm going to look out for those people. People like my sister. If you want an organization that's going to get money from me, it's going to be the Catholic Church, the priests that took care of me emotionally when I was coming apart with the realization that Charlie and everything that he had worked for, he's been betrayed. He has. Charlie has been betrayed. Everybody can see that. You betray him every single day when you do these sorts of things. You betray who he was. You betray the friendships that he had. You lie constantly about who he was, about the things that he was thinking. I am not going to take any instruction from Turning Point USA or any of their affiliates or any of these neocon dogs that they send out on what I should do with the money. It's just not going to happen. So, yeah, I'm going to take care of my sisters. I'm going to give money to the Catholic Church, and then I'm going to decide what I want to do. That's it. You were the ones who offered the money. You were the ones who retweeted it. And so it's therefore mine. You can skip all of your fake altruism. Why don't you guys give more money to that organization? Because the direction that they're headed, I don't see that this is going to be an organization in 10 years
Nope.
down the road.
5 years.
I see it crashing and burning like everybody else does. And like I said, for the first time ever, the left and the right are united in their disgust for what this organization has become. And that was not a feeling that people had on the right, especially in the wake of the assassination. So you guys did this. This was your loss, your L, and that's all I'm going to say about that. We'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys, do you owe back tax? No, AmericanFinancing.net/Owens. Okay, I also want to let you guys know, we got so many messages. Please sell the t-shirt. I can explain to you, but I cannot understand it for you. Exhausted trying to explain this to him. We do have that available on our website. So if you go to CandaceOwens.com and you can have that t-shirt, we have them available.
We also made that a sweatshirt. I can explain it to you, but I cannot understand it for you.
She made it
T-shirts, different
maroon.
sizes of that available. And of course, a mug, which I can't wait to get if I can explain it to you. And we also put up this. This is my second favorite shirt. If you know, you know. It's in maroon. This is my wear your second favorite shirt. If you've learned nothing from this podcast, to do bad stuff, you wear your second favorite shirt, not your first favorite shirt. So we have some new merch that's available on the website. And that is, of course, the easiest way to support us and support the work that we do and the investigation, which we can now refocus on, which was really none of their business at all. Why Turning Point USA doesn't want people investigating and exploring other leads in the Charlie Kirk assassination boggles the mind. It really boggles the mind. Top comments from the great debate. Go Max Everyday writes, let me begin by reading this message from my sponsor, Turning Point USA. Yes, that is what it felt like. It was absurd. It had nothing to do with the debate claims. Know your psyop. Second message, 75 to 85% confident Tyler did it, is literally reasonable doubt. I am so glad. I didn't even look at the comments. My producers pulled this, that you guys clocked it as well. It's crazy that they just concede the entire debate right at the beginning. So yes, you have a right to pursue other leads. No, you do not have to reach out to Visa and MasterCard and speak to the merchant to do so. I want you guys to know that. I may, guys, have to, I didn't realize we were so overtime on book club, so we may need to do that tomorrow. We're finishing the book, and thank you to book club for allowing me to bump Friday to accommodate the great debate. Comments from today's episode. True Detective writes, Andrew Wilson's rules of the debate. Avoid knowing the facts of the case, pretend to be intelligent and qualified, and don't mind that your left foot is nodding in agreement with Candace throughout the conversation. And question, when Andrew's wife makes him a sandwich, is he expected to open the pickle jar? I mean, that relationship is just on its face toxic. Like I said, you should go look up clips of that, like her disgusting mouth and the things that she says in the whatever podcast and how she speaks, and they're branding themselves as Orthodox Christians. And he said on some stream that his wife went in and spoke to the executives at Turning Point USA. That's why I say Turning Point USA is just over. Like we can't, this Christian psyop has to end. We just have to stop pretending. Erica on her face is, I can't get a sentence out without saying the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. She's hugging Andrew Wilson. These are who is being brought into our organization and given money to train people to debate. I'm sorry people are clocking that. I'm sorry. It's not positive. It's not positive evidence, but it feels like some evidence that the whole brand is fraudulent now. It feels like evidence that Turning Point USA is now essentially trying to sell people faux Christianity while they behave in just the most detestable way behind the scenes. And now it's in front of the scenes. Like I said, I can't wait for him to drop that message. They have themselves in a pickle with that message. He says he's dropping it this week. Do your thing, Andrew. Do your thing. We Woke Now writes, in the words of my grandmother, he don't know no better. Way to stay above the muck. Yes, I was just not going to meet him on his level. He came across as petty, and just, these men are too old for this. Like, you know what I mean? He's almost 50. Steve McGuire's 40. Like, grow up. Be professional. What are you all doing with these accounts that you're dedicating to tweeting about Candace Owens 90 times a day? Find something that gives you purpose and go after it. I don't know you. I don't know these people. Like, it's crazy. I literally have never met Steven Crowder. So that entire obsession with me is just because I covered when he was berating his wife and said it was gross, because it was. It just was.
Yep.
Chris Angelo writes, one thing that is actually overwhelming is how proud Charlie is of you as he smiles from heaven. The Holy Spirit truly gave you the patience and discernment needed for the debate. Keep going, Max, for the truth and for Charlie. Christ is King. Thank you for saying that. And like I said, that was the bittersweet thing, is I was reminded of just, I really feel like I have this, Charlie. No, you should still go over everything, because it just takes one question, and for someone to throw you off your game, you have to stay updated. And I did all of that, and I'm glad that it worked out. Jenna wrote, you were amazing in the debate. I offered my daily mass and rosary for you on Friday. I'm so proud of you. Such a role model for my four daughters. Christ is King. Yeah, that's one of the first things I did. I went to a Saturday mass and just thank the Lord, just for the ability to communicate in a way and to have the opportunity to expose what we all know is going on. And that's, by the way, the real purpose of what Andrew was doing, was to distract us. With nothingness, they brought no new people to their side. It just the same establishment media trying to convince you that you should not believe your own eyes and your ears. And that's what we have right now. That's what we're living right now. Riley England writes, Candace, what a masterclass for how gracefully and brilliantly you defend your convictions with facts. We all know you did this for Charlie. You displayed a restraint in a class that I look up to, and you clearly owned pickles. LOL, St. Joan of Arc, pray for us. Indeed. That is my patron saint. And I hope that people did learn that you just stay calm. And yeah, I could have forced and been like, I want to just talk about the case. But like I said, I actually know that my audience is smarter than that. I believe in my audience. I know people can see through that. They saw right through him in the same way that I saw through him live. Maddening to hear him keep telling us stuff happened 5 seconds ago that didn't happen 5 seconds ago, but say it with like smugness and arrogance. You said it. You said this. No, I literally didn't say that. Like, you don't have magical powers here, sir. Zamet writes, I think Andrew Wilson was hoping to open the pickle jar with the screwdriver that they planted on the rooftop. Indeed. Cowlins writes, thank you, Candace. Followed you since Fox News. You're no more on Fox. Thank God for you and Charlie. With love. Thank you. And Jay Beam writes, it really freaks me out that Andrew said you could just not do what you are doing, seeking the truth and asking questions, and be okay. He said that quote, you could just not do what you're doing and be okay. It's almost as if he is aware or realized on air that you are close to the truth. Totally creepy for him to say that, a bit worried. It was strange to me that he so instantly jumped into the Israel and France narrative, which, by the way, people would add that to why they think Israel is sus, because why does it take and require so many people to try to tell us that Israel's not involved? Why is that a priority for you at all? Your debate claim is the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson did it. If the evidence is truly overwhelming that Tyler Robinson did it, you defending and proving your debate claim would take care of the Israel one. But he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't want to talk about or defend the claim. He instead wants to go, why do you think Israel did it? Where is your positive evidence? My positive evidence is you sitting here right now prioritizing defending Israel rather than your claim. It's sus. People think it's suspicious because it is. You keep trying to force this Israel didn't do it narrative, and the more that you do it, we go, just doesn't make sense. Trying to constantly emphasize this. The best way to prove Israel's innocence is to prove Tyler Robinson's guilt. And you failed to do that. People should be taking a look at the Israel narrative. We have a right to ask questions. We're going to continue to do that. True. I think I read that. Jenna. I think I did. I read that one as well. And I think I read them all. I think I'm good, actually. 7 Sheets was the one I was missing. 7 Sheets wrote, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Wow, we need merch. This will go down in debate history. Kudos to your bravery once again, but they must realize we are legion right behind you. God is with you. Thank you so much for you guys being with me. I think our audience actually grew. The platform got bigger. And it's because telling the truth, also exercising humility is really important. And if you learn anything from this debate, like if you don't know something, just say you don't know it. You're not required to be an expert at everything. I didn't even dive into, it sounded crazy when he said the bullet split in air and caused air. It felt like another one of his confident lies, but I wasn't going to pretend to be a ballistics expert on splitting bullets midair that create air under your shirt. And I just trusted the internet. They will take a look at that. The hunters, the common sense people, we're going to go, this man is once again lying boldly about that claim. And sure enough, we've already seen videos of people just going, he's clinically insane. I had Air Force veterans messaging me being like, I cannot believe he said this on your platform. And that's the point. This is how we grow. This is how we are Legion, because people go, that is such an absurd lie to tell that I now need to look into what Candace has been saying. And so many people then go back and they watch the content and they recognize the holes. And we are doing this because we know that everything is wrong with the Charlie Kirk narrative. Literally everything is wrong with this narrative. And like I say to you guys all the time, they're not going to get away with it.
No.
Positive evidence or not, I sense that we are getting closer to the truth and they are getting panicked. But here's what I will say. There has to be a consequence for Turning Point USA. There does. There has to. Vengeance does not belong to me, but the truth belongs to everybody. And you know there's nothing I do better than sentencing them to more truth. So get excited, because tomorrow we will be sentencing Turning Point USA to more truth, which is what they want, more truth and transparency, right?
We're going to watch that.
You send an absolute slob
to my home to debate me, to disrespect me by not just being honest and forthright about who he wanted to bring here, to violate our rules of no filming where my children play. We drop more truth. That's it. That's all. Wouldn't Erica say that? That's it. That's all.
I have nothing
Anyway,
else to say.
that will be tomorrow. I am very already late on book club.
She's
Do
so
we have?
cool.
Can we do it tomorrow, Sky?
I'm about to buy this
Can we just check the calendar? I feel like I have. When am I doing? I think I have. I'm doing Dave Smith's show, right? That's at noon. Okay, hold on, guys. I got to get you on the calendar. Just give me a second.
Candace, why
Wednesday
is shipping
cannot do.
$28? It's okay. I'm buying it anyways.
Yeah, but let's do Thursday. Yeah, because I think I want to. I want to pack going away with the husband for our anniversary, number 7. I just casually have a conversation like that, right? I'm like, can I do this? I think we should do Thursday. Okay, perfect. All right, you guys. Book club people, I will see you on Thursday. Get excited, you guys, for tomorrow. I love when the punishment is more truth. Your punishment is more truth. Turning Point USA. We will see you guys then.
Guys, I bought the shirt. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Bought it. Candace, give me a promo code. Code Lemmy for 10% off. I'll promote your stuff, I swear. Okay, let's watch the next one. So this was yesterday.
All right, you guys. Happy Tuesday to everyone except the people who think that we need positive evidence to share our opinions and cannot comprehend why that's patently ridiculous. Like, I think granola is delicious when I'm pregnant. Where's your positive evidence for that? Shh. We can just say what we think, put ideas together. And as stated yesterday, there must be a sentence handed down from the court of Candace for Turning Point USA's misdemeanor offense. They ran afoul of CO code 92784, colluding with debate bro slobs to attack me, violating my personal space, ignoring the rules, having the permanent creep Steven Crowder sneak his CEO into my home to join Steven's show from my children's playroom without my consent, without my knowledge. None of that can be tolerated under the current law that we have on the books. And we all know what their punishment is. That's what their punishment always is. I am the magistrate, therefore the judge and the jury. And they have been sentenced to what they hate the most. More truth. Welcome back to Candace. Get ready because it's another big one. It is explosive. We have something to share that's never been seen, our favorite. But first, we have to jog your memory of whence we came. And I want you to lock in and really pay attention to the details. They matter. So I'm going to ask you the question, what was the original moment that made people suspicious of what happened on September 10th? What was the first thing that you saw online that made your eyebrow raise, so to speak?
Let me think. Hold on. Like, what was the question again? Hold on.
Moment that made matter. So I'm going to ask you the question, what was the original moment that made people suspicious of what happened on September 10th? What was the first thing that you saw online that made your eyebrow raise?
Okay, obviously everyone was focused on what happened to him, so it was just that video circulating. I only watched it once, never watched it again on that day. First thing that was suspicious. Was it Mikey McCoy? Might have been Mikey McCoy. Or Terrell Farnsworth, but that was after. I feel like those came pretty next to each other. The pavers, yeah. Yeah, that was like 3 days after, though. We had footage. The chat's talking, covering up the crime scene. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I'm just thinking, when we start getting suspicious about stuff. I think when I started really getting suspicious, like putting like pieces together, was probably like either right before I went to the memorial or right after I got back from the memorial. It was like the September 20s. Around that time, I was kind of like, I was looking at the Wendy's footage or whatever. So much was all shady. I don't know. You guys tell me. I got some people in here. Comment. Not just a suspicious thing. She's asking what was the first thing that made you think like, okay, that was a little bit suspicious or that was weird or something like suspicious. Because I'm really trying to think. It was either Mikey McCoy or them taking, or Terrell taking the cards out because they had no urgency seeking safety. Yeah, the security team. I agree with that, but I feel like the security thing came a little bit after. Like, we got suspicious about them. But I agree how nonchalant everyone was. I mean, yeah. Mikey walked away. I'm gonna say my initial answer is Mikey McCoy walking away. He still hasn't answered for that 11 months later. He still hasn't answered for that, and I will call him out until he does. So we'll keep going.
So to speak. I would
She'll probably
offer
say Terrell.
that it was when Terrell Farnsworth, Turning Point USA's audio and visual lead, he runs Visual Impulse, was seen taking down the cameras, particularly actually taking down one camera, the camera behind Charlie's head. And this turned out was less than 4 minutes after Charlie was hit. We know he went up and he recorded himself. He announced that Charlie was dead. He went down and he began removing that camera in particular. Before anybody knew who he was, I knew who he was, but the rest of the world just went, what's going on? Why are we violating a crime scene? Why is somebody moving a chair that Charlie was just sitting in to stand up and take that camera down? And I actually should be honest, unlike the rest of the world, I was not immediately suspicious because I knew Terrell. You'll recall this, right? I reached out to him. I've known him for years.
I remember that.
And I said, what's up? I assumed that there had to be some sort of a reasonable explanation. That conversation took place, to remind you, on September 18th. Reached out to Terrell, got him on the phone, was expecting something simple. And instead, it was the phone call itself that made me feel suspicious. I went to my team, something is wrong. I've gone over this moment to you guys so many times. It's because Terrell was nervous. He was offering me various increasingly bizarre reasons as to why he could not show me the back footage. People thought maybe the back footage caught the person from a crowd that was shot Charlie. And I just said, okay, let me see it. And he said he didn't want to share it because he didn't want Erica to see Charlie get hit in 4K. And I said, okay, well, it doesn't need to be shared. You can just tell me and I'll tell audiences that I saw it and everything's okay. And the craziest part of all was him telling me, again, you'll recall, because I said this to you right when it happened, specifically, that he did not know how to send the file to me. I said, just send it to me. I'll watch it. Obviously, I won't share it. And he said, I don't know how to send the file. And I said, Terrell, you run an AV company. What do you mean you don't know how to send a file? And then he admitted that he did know how to send a file, but he didn't want to do it for fear that Google might hack him. Go back, watch the episodes. That's what he said. I've got proof that Google might hack him. What? But you see, it turns out that now we know that Terrell lied to me. Terrell's a liar. I sensed it then. Yes, I had an immediate intuition that Terrell was lying to me, that he maybe did know how to send a file, but he wasn't actually fearful that Google might hack him. They keep telling us our intuition means nothing, right? But guess what? My intuition and vibe in that matter has been proven correct. It was confirmed when the preliminary hearing took place, actually. You may have missed it. I'll slow that down for you. The lead investigator on the case, SBI agent David Hull, explained on the stand that actually on September 10th, so that would be 8 days before I spoke to Terrell, actually on the very day of the assassination, Terrell apparently did know how to send footage, and he chose to do that via a Google link. He used the very company that he would then tell me 8 days later he was afraid was going to hack him. That makes Terrell a liar. He lied to me. I don't like when people lie to me. And like I said, there is entirely no dispute that he lied to me about his fear of a Google hack, because he actually signed and submitted an 1102 statement to that effect. It was entered in and discussed during the hearing. We can show you this statement from Terrell.
I remember.
And it tells us, and I'm going to read the first part first. And on September 10th, I, Terrell, the first person here, was present at the Turning Point USA Utah Valley University event. Myself and my team were there to provide audio video equipment, setup, management, and support, as we had done for Mr. Charlie Kirk for years. Our camera setup consisted of 3 angles: an angle directly on Charlie, an angle on the individual asking questions, and a wider angle behind Charlie that showed the audience and the crowd reaction. Okay, so a wider angle behind Charlie that showed the audience and the crowd reaction. That day, on September 10th, I provided SBI with 4 videos through a Google Drive. And then you see the link, and he tells you what those videos are labeled. Okay. And then he says these videos were taken by me and my team at the UVU event on September 10th, 2005. These videos, as they were provided to SBI, are a true and correct representation of what took place at UVU.
So suspicious.
Okay. Now let's understand that first portion first. He says that there are 4 videos that he sent to them. He says that there are 3 cameras. I want you to remember which cameras we saw around Charlie, generally speaking. Now there is one moving camera that I want to point out, which may potentially be the 4th camera, which was operated by a guy that seemed to be floating from side to side. I'm going to show you that. I'm, again, assuming this might have been a contractor, and maybe Terrell got that footage from him and he was going from side to side. You remember him? But the more pertinent ones are the 3 static cameras that he is representing in his statement that he was operating. Here's the diagram of those static cameras.
So I've said this since however early on. Like, I've circled it, sent a screenshot of it. I forget the name of the chick who's running the camera. That blue one though. Here's the thing. The footage that was circulating of Charlie getting shot, like the viral one, that was obviously gruesome. I watched it one time that day and I never watched it again. If we were to get that blue footage 4K right in front of his face, like 3 feet in front of his face, I'd watch it. I would, because I want to know what happened. I really do. It would show clearly if there was something happening under his shirt, at least clearer than what we have from an iPhone. So, yeah, we need that footage. And I don't know if she's going to show Terrell's footage, but the behind, the red circle, he cropped it to where it's like a vertical video. Like when the necklace flies off, it's like this. It's not like this. So, all super weird. And yeah, we haven't seen the yellow one either. Yeah, we haven't seen that footage either. We've seen none of this footage. That should tell you something. On top of him sending a link to the authorities, on top of him saying that he was scared that Google's going to hack him when he used Google to send the link. And you shouldn't even be sending links. Why not just give the SD cards to the authorities? That's literally tampering with evidence. So that's like 7 different things that I just said about why it's suspicious, and I could keep going. Charlie's dead. He's dead. Like, it's all suspicious, dude. So we'll just keep going.
3 shots. Now we have one to the front left side of Charlie that is being operated by Robert Golo. And in theory, I would say that it is actually the camera that is circled in blue right there. The yellow one is operated by Robert Golo. That's the one that he is going to be facing the person that's asking questions. The one that is in blue is the one that I would say would carry the most critical, graphic, up-close evidence of Charlie Kirk being shot, right? That's the one that was being operated by Jordan Wilson. In other words, if I were trying to gather evidence very quickly within minutes of Charlie Kirk being shot, I'd go blue.
Yep.
That's an opinion. I'm saying, were I in control of the AV department and I was trying to be useful to police, I'd probably grab that footage as critical evidence. And then I would grab that footage of what's circled in yellow, which we just discussed, that is, as he described, pointing to the person that's asking questions. We know that that has some rotating capability. I'd probably grab that 1 second, right? If you're trying to help detectives secure the best footage to scan the crowd, since that is the crowd footage, as he demonstrated, potentially to find a shooter in the crowd, I'd go, okay, number 2. 1, 2, I'm trying to be useful. But that third camera, to me, if I'm running this event, is instantly the most irrelevant because A, it's facing downward. B, it's behind Charlie. And traditionally, in case you're wondering or need reminding, all it showed was a view of what was happening below and around Charlie's feet and captured some audience, right?
And I will say, I think it was Dan Flood. When Charlie was on the ground, when he was looking at Charlie on the ground, he was touching his meta glasses. That needs to be talked about more. He literally tapped his meta glasses as they were dealing with Charlie on the ground. Why in the world, in that scenario, would that even be a thought in the back of your head? Super strange. So it's one thing if Turning Point came out and was like, yeah, we've looked at the footage of all 3 of these cameras. Doesn't show anything out of that you guys haven't seen, whatever. We've had 0 statements about any of this. Push on Charlie's mission. Start a chapter at your high school. Charlie loved Israel. Oh my gosh, Erica's so... Like, they just moved on and they don't give a... I'm just control myself. They don't care about Charlie. They haven't discussed these cameras. Why is that? Why is that?
Right, but not more than the yellow camera is going to capture. The red camera, if you want to capture the audience, you go with the yellow. And the reason why I'm saying traditionally that is what it showed is because there was a massive discovery from YouTuber Nissy when she realized that Terrell Farnsworth, when he finally did show me the completely non-graphic footage from behind Charlie's head,
It was like this.
had presented to me what appeared to her to be a zoomed in shot from that camera. This is important that we go back and we revisit what it is that Nissy caught about that camera. Take a listen.
In this footage that Terrell has selectively shared with Candace, we can't see the ground where Charlie had been sitting. You're probably thinking, okay, so what? Well, I'll tell you what. Actually, I'll show you what. On February 28th, 2025, the American Comeback Tour did a stop at Florida State University, and here is the back camera shot. On March 3rd, 2025, the American Comeback Tour did a stop at the University of Southern California, and here is the back camera shot. Here's San Francisco, here's San Diego, Long Beach, Boise, Idaho, Washington State. Do you notice a pattern? The camera is a wide-angle camera and was always used as such. However, in the footage that Terrell has selectively shared with Candace, you cannot see the ground. So either that day at UVU, they had changed things up and they had zoomed in the camera so that you couldn't see the area around Charlie, or Terrell had zoomed in after the fact and he was showing a cropped version of the footage to Candace.
Why would you do that?
Why did Terrell do that? Now, we've already demonstrated from Terrell's 1102 statement that he's willing to lie to me, so I don't think we can go directly to him and ask that question. We're going to have to continue to prod this narrative on our own to join Nissy. She raises an important question. Did Terrell do this after the fact? When did he do this? Because what we learn is compelling from Agent Hull, that on September 10th, Terrell did not give them the SD cards.
Nope, it's not linked.
So we see him, we're going to show you him race to take down that camera to then take the SD card out of that camera. And our assumption was that he handed that over to the SBI that was in charge of the investigation. But Hull is going to testify that no, Terrell gave them a flash drive. This means that Terrell inserted that SD card into a computer and then copied the footage onto a flash drive and similarly created Google links, even though days later he would be concerned that Google might hack him initially he
He's
gave
so
them Google links,
guilty.
but not the original SD card.
He's
Why?
so guilty.
Why not hand the direct SD card over to the SBI's lead investigator? I mean, did Terrell think that they were not equipped with knowledge of how to use an SD card? Even I am, and I'm terrible at technology. But let's listen to Agent Hull's testimony, because
He's
actually
guilty.
it's kind of absurd to consider that.
Agent Hull, any more video that you collected, or either you or another agent with the SBA?
Yes, we were able to collect video. TPUSA had a videographer, Visual Impulse, who was taking coverage of the event, and they provided video to us that they had captured on September 10th of 2025.
And do you know who or how that video was collected from Visual Impulse?
Yeah, Mr. Farnsworth originally provided, I believe, a flash drive to Lieutenant O'Brien with one of the local agencies. And a short time after that, on September 10th, he provided downloadable versions, electronic versions to Agent Mortensen. And an 1102 was collected from him on May 6th of 2026.
Not the SD card, though. So when the footage began going viral, the clip of Terrell taking down that camera in particular, people online, I think, rightfully speculated that there must have been something really important about that back footage behind Charlie's head specifically. And then people were gaslit. We were told, no, there was nothing unique about that camera. There was nothing unique about that footage in particular. Terrell actually grabbed all of the footage, and he did so because people were stealing and people are evil, which we then said our common sense went, that doesn't really make sense, because if he was worried about people stealing, like, wouldn't he be concerned with the camera? It was just the SD card that he took out. It was Andrew Colvett who offered that excuse, by the way, to Tucker Carlson.
Tucker
Again,
shot it
like to
down.
remind you, here's what he said.
Tucker shot it down.
So Charlie was very well aware of the existence of evil, obviously. So were us on his team. You know, by the way, just one other conspiracy theory I just want to snuff out here. One of our dear friends that literally from the very beginning started with us.
Guilty.
And loved Charlie like a brother. He grabbed the SD cards out of the camera afterwards. And there's all these conspiracy videos about, like, why did he grab the SD cards? Well, first of all, they're in the possession of the FBI. Okay. It's not like he took them and like ran off with them.
No, they're not.
Second of all, I asked him personally, I said, why did you do that? And he looked at me and this was his answer. He said, because I know people can be evil.
Oof.
And he did not want that footage being grabbed by somebody. There was videos of people
reaction.
after the incident going and stealing hats off the table. I mean, so I'm so grateful he did that, and that was his instinct. He's like, I'm depressed to know that was why I did that, but I knew that I had to protect that footage because I wanted, I mean, you know, you're recording in like 4K, you know? And so I'm so glad he did that.
Oh, I didn't show it.
It's beautiful.
Tucker shot
It's
it down.
beautiful. I'd like to, he said, because I know people can be evil.
Andrew Colvett is guilty.
Let me try that again. Because I know people can be evil. Okay, one more time. I just want to give it with as much passion as Andrew did. I took the SD cards because I know people can be evil. Beautiful, beautiful.
You know what's crazy? Like, her talking like that sounds like Erica. Sorry.
Really?
How she just talked sounds exactly how Erica talks, because it's performative, because it's fake. Like, I'm not even joking. Listen to this again. Tell me this doesn't sound like Erica Kirk 24/7.
I know people
No, hold
can
on.
be
No, this is important.
I'd like to, he said, because I know people can be evil. Let me try that again. Because I know people can be evil.
Literally.
Okay, one more time. I just want to give it with as much passion as Andrew did.
Really focus on this.
I took the SD cards because I know people can be evil.
Because we serve a just God. Like, it's the exact same thing. It's performative.
Beautiful. Really, the Academy Award goes to you, Andrew. But you said cards, and what we noticed was
liars.
that it was card. It was that one first. It struck me and others as odd, but here's Andrew reinforcing the narrative that this is a conspiracy theory. There was nothing special about that particular footage behind Terrell's head. He was actually worried about all of it. But actually, if you keep reading Terrell's 1102 statement, it flies in the face of what Andrew has said. There was something unique about the footage behind Charlie's head. There had to be something particular about that footage, which moved Terrell or maybe someone in the SBI, but it's not clear, to create a clip out of only the footage behind behind Charlie's head. Just that back footage. We're going to read the rest of the statement, okay?
We haven't seen the rest.
Terrell writes in the statement, and we can pull up that statement if you guys have it. It reads, regarding the clip, which has been labeled 80704, turning point footage of the crowd and behind Charlie, I have reviewed, and from what I can see, it is a true and correct representation of a portion of the larger files previously sent to SBI. So let me slow that down for you because it's very important. What we are learning is that they had 4 videos. Go pull that back up, please, and you can split this. They had 4 videos in total, and you can bring me in on this just so I can explain this. And of those 4 videos, they're telling us the length of each of those videos here. One is 26 minutes, another one is 26 minutes, another is 26 minutes, and a fourth one is 23 minutes. So that, I'm guessing, assuming represents, because this Charlie got hit very quickly into the event, that this represents the full length of all of that footage of the cameras that I showed you. Despite having all of that footage, they decided to clip from the camera behind Charlie's head a special clip. And that is what Terrell is saying, you know, I believe this is a true representation of the footage that was recorded. Why did they need to clip out from the full footage of that camera just a little 3-minute clip? That's the question, okay? So what we can discern from this is that for whatever reason, of all the camera footage that was provided across 4 cameras, only one of the 4 cameras that had footage, they felt they needed to turn into a clip. Like I said, we're not sure if Terrell clipped it or if it was SBI that clipped it. We do know that Terrell was the first to touch that footage. And we do know that the footage wound up clipped. And Terrell is testifying in a statement that from what he can see, it appears to be a true and correct representation of the portion of the larger files. Now, the way that he is phrasing that is interesting. A true and correct representation, because it would still be true and correct. It would still be a true and correct representation if it was zoomed in. We learned that during the whole back and forth regarding 12.1 and 12.4 in the courtroom when they were debating. They got to see zoomed in footage, but they were like, this is still a true representation of what happened. We're just zooming in and making some circles. So Terrell is basically saying it's still a true representation. It's plausible that the only reason they would have to clip that out is because it was zoomed in. You would have to create a new clip if you were zooming it in. You couldn't just run that in the entire content. So again, I want to underscore what I'm saying to you here, okay? You would have to clip the footage in order to zoom it. I am making the case based on Terrell's 1102 that the footage behind Charlie's head was specifically clipped. And I'm also going to make the case that contrary to what Andrew Colvett is saying, there was something special about that footage behind Charlie's head, and Terrell beelined to it in particular. And he was nervous about that footage in particular because he did not instantly grab all of the SD cards. He grabbed that one and he did it nervously. That's what people saw. He was looking around to see who was watching him as he took only the SD card from that camera before he disappears behind the tent. Let's watch that together.
Does he takes all of them, but does he just come back?
Here he is. Here he is. He's taking down the camera altogether. If you're worried about theft, take the whole camera. It's pretty small. It's in your hand. He doesn't do that. He takes it apart and he takes the SD card out. And he looks around. He wants to see who's looking at him. And then he looks down at it and he walks around. And we had wondered, what did Terrell do when he walked around? He hasn't addressed any other camera there, just that one. Well, you don't have to wonder what he did anymore because today I can tell you what Terrell did. Because I've actually known what Terrell did since October. As I was wondering who
could be trusted at Turning Point USA. And like I said to you instantly, there was a network of government employees that were fighting to get the truth out and wondering who they could trust as well. And now appears to be the moment to not tell you what Terrell did, but to rather show you and let you draw your own conclusions about whether Terrell appeared concerned about anything other than that particular footage, okay? Here is what Terrell did thereafter, seen for the first time. Terrell is there. He looks around, again, nervously, and he puts the SD card in his pocket, and he zips up. He doesn't run to the other cameras and try to grab the SD card. Instead, what he does is he whips out his phone, and he begins texting with someone. And that's what he does. He's texting with someone to say what? Who's he texting? What's he saying? If he's just out there fighting evil and worried about securing the footage, why didn't he grab the other SD card or 3 of them in a row? Who is he in communication with after he grabs that? Because I got to tell you something, Andrew. Were it me and I was amongst my peers sitting on a jury, I would not accept your narrative that he looks like he's worried about people stealing.
Turned his back to it.
Not about the hats, not about the other footage, not about the cameras. It looks to me like, and again, this is my opinion, it looks to me like he's completing a task and checking in with someone to say that a task is completed. Maybe, I don't know. I'm open to everything. Maybe there was some police officer who told him to take that footage in particular. I'm told that didn't happen.
It's all weird.
And I will say this, that when someone demonstrates that they are capable of lying to you, you have a right to take note. And Terrell lied to me. He lied to me about his fears regarding Google. It is therefore my opinion on the basis of everything that we are observing with our eyes, everything that I am observing with my 2 eyes, his mannerisms, the beeline to that footage so quickly, within 4 or 5 minutes, as if that had to be secured. The 11:02 statement, where we know that footage in particular was clipped. I'm speculating because it was zoomed in. The questions that Kathy Nestor asked thereafter, things that she asserted about, they don't know whether or not that footage was edited. Your claim that the FBI has it, why? It's a Utah case. Why would the FBI have the SD cards? When I observe everything with my eyes, again, I don't think they're going to call me for jury duty in Utah, but it demonstrates to me that that footage was prioritized. So now the question is why?
Why?
If it was zoomed in, and if Nissi is correct, and this was unusual and new that footage would be zoomed in, then the only thing that would be accomplished by that sort of a crop and a zoom in would be not showing us what happened below Charlie. But I need that footage. I'm being sued by Brian Hartpole. I'm going to need that footage.
Yep.
I'm going to need to trace that footage and to be able to understand the custody of that footage and whether or not, as Kathy Nestor is asking, it was edited before it was given via Google Link or via a flash drive to the SBI. And I'm genuinely asking questions here. But why did Terrell tell me that he spoke with Erica about that footage specifically? Again, he was lying a lot on that phone call. So I can't assert that he was telling the truth. But I do know, and I have proof that that's what he told me. And why did Turning Point USA gaslight us about the significance of the footage? Now we can read the case and see that there was something about that footage that required something different than the other cameras and the other videos that were running. significant enough for the SBI to create a specialized clip from it, or Terrell to create a specialized clip from it? Why continually gaslight the public into believing otherwise, pretending there's nothing interesting there? Terrell just violated a crime scene to secure it because he was worried about evil. Because people can be evil.
That's Erica Kirk right there.
Is the SD card still in his right pant pocket, Andrew? Terrell, anybody? You say it was given to the FBI? Okay, well, why? It's a state crime. The FBI, under the law, is allowed to assist, but they don't have jurisdiction over the crime, over the state. In all practicality, the SBI should have been handed the SD card, and then if they wanted to, they could have handed it off to the FBI, but that should have been the flash drive copy. Anyway, I'm going to continue to think while it's still legal to do so. And I'm certain the internet will join me in that exercise. We'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys, I want to
crazy, dude. It's all crazy.
About 70 here. I'll get a more $2 all residents only. So many things that I know, and I think the biggest thing is don't send a slob to my house. Yeah, don't do that. Please don't do that again, especially when I am pregnant with a boy. It's deeply upsetting to me, and it's unnecessary. Andrew, Erica in particular, you guys are really starting to partner with people who are interested in trying to psychologically go after me and my family, torment us, publishing things about my children's cars and the vehicles that they travel in. I think you should stop doing that. If I could just put something in the suggestion box, just call off the dogs, or don't, and we can keep having fun. Anyway, speaking of this totally inappropriate chain of custody, the FBI jumping on the case like cowboys. That's not how this works, actually. They are supposed to be used because your tax dollars pay for these things. When there is a case that obviously violates federal law, if it's happening on federal property, you don't get to have cowboy Kash Patel just go, I'm just gonna come and bring everybody with me and take over the whole case and evidence. Yes, the State Bureau of Investigations, as you saw, can reach out to the FBI and help ask them to assist with certain testing and things of that nature. But the custody goes SBI and then FBI. So why the FBI interjected so quickly is in and of itself kind of a conspiracy. There was a man named John Kirikou, who is a former CIA officer who had a conscience back in 2007 during the quote unquote war on terror. He became a government whistleblower about how some of the terrorists were being tortured. Anyway, John Kirikou went on to the Danny Jones podcast, and here is what he had to say about the FBI's involvement in the Charlie Kirk case.
Why is the FBI involved in this? Charlie Kirk was killed in Utah by a kid from Utah who left his house in Utah, drove to the university in Utah, and allegedly shot Charlie Kirk. Nobody ever crossed a state line. There's literally nothing in this case that would make it federal, unless there was a conspiracy, in which case it would be a federal case and the FBI would be involved. So Kash Patel was asked this early on, and he said, we're just offering the FBI's expertise to the Utah State Police. Like, really? Is that just what it is? Because offering your expertise means sticking stuff in a FedEx and sending it to Utah so they can do with it what they want. Or maybe you put one FBI, lab person at their disposal. You don't have the FBI director fly out there with a plane load of FBI agents. It's not a federal case. I don't understand.
Good point.
He is correct. This is unusual, and you have a right to feel that this is very suspicious. You have a right to ask questions, as I demonstrated in my back forth with Andrew Wilson. You have a right to look at this and go, hey, it's very strange that Kash Patel apparently shut down Joe Kent, who wanted to investigate whether or not there were foreign ties. If there are no foreign ties, then why would you have an issue with people investigating those non-existent foreign ties. And then when people say, hey, I think there's foreign ties, you gaslight them and say you have no positive evidence. How could we have positive evidence when the department that's supposed to find that positive evidence is told don't do that? And then we have Turning Point USA, who's upset with the person who wanted to investigate those ties, but not upset with Kash Patel. Going to events with Kash Patel, dressed up, your buddy. People are starting to notice that all of this does feel and look like a conspiracy. Who are the players involved? We don't know. But as I said, as they were intentionally trying to trip me into a lawsuit, you can see they're all salivating for me to be sued. Turning Point should sue her. Turning Point should sue her. Turning Point should sue her. Take her money. Take her money. Shut her down. Bankrupt her. Charlie Kirk got killed and she cares and she won't let it go. Bankrupt her. Bankrupt her. Okay. Well, guess what? People are taking notice of that being odd as well. You're going after the people who are investigating it, and you're becoming increasingly more vicious in how you do it. You are spending a lot of money to do it. You are lying on record, getting caught in lies, and then gaslighting us by saying you don't have a right to recognize those lies. You recognize those lies. You have no right to recognize those lies. It's demonic for you to notice them.
Yeah, so Paramount Tactical Gary, that guy, on Twitter this week, he responded to my tweet, quoted it, tagged Erica in it, and said, Erica, this is why you need to start suing people. So he called for Erica to sue me. So to Erica Kirk, sue me. Do it. I dare you.
It's not working. And this has gone mainstream, obviously. And it is being discussed on the biggest platforms in the world, whether that's Sean Ryan or more recently Joe Rogan, who had a laugh alongside his guests Mark Normand, Shane Gillis, and Ari Schaefer as they were discussing the Tyler Robinson case and the odd and increasingly odd public relations campaign that is surrounding Erica Kirk. Take a listen.
I get it. Wearing that mask for a little bit, though, I genuinely, both Duncan and I, both gained respect for the furries.
Yeah, but then they shoot the president.
Nah, I don't know if they
Wasn't that
did.
guy a furry?
No, he loved a furry.
Oh, he loved a furry.
Yeah, but I'm not even sure if that's true.
All right.
The more time goes on, the more I'm leaning towards Candace Owens. I don't think any story that you hear in the news is accurate.
I think
there's
could be
always
none, or spin on it at least.
There's always some spin.
But the
and
public
so
believes
whatever
it.
the spin is, whatever the spin is about Tyler Robinson, there's some bullshit to it. I don't know how much of it is bullshit, but there's some bullshit. And one of the more recent bullshit is they found a photo that they were saying was Tyler Robinson, but then people noticed that because he's real thin, people noticed that the cars in the background, the proportions were distorted. And then they realized that what they had done was taken a guy who's like much wider than Tyler Robinson and shrunken the perspective.
Really?
Yep. Yep. And then when you see him for what he really looks like, you're like, oh, there's no way that's that guy. That guy's big.
And then you're like, well, it's mostly true. Like, no,
It
he's
doesn't add up.
shifting
No,
it.
no,
Oh.
they changed. Like, you look at the hood of the cars behind them; they're all like that narrow.
Who is that guy?
What guy?
Tyler Robinson?
He was the guy who supposedly shot Charlie Kirk.
Kirk, yeah, not the president.
Have you ever
There
seen
was.
Drewski's America Kirk?
Yeah, I
Didn't-
do. I thought it
Weren't
was
people
Erica.
threatening him they were going to sue him for that?
I don't know. It's funny,
Which
though.
was, it
He's
would have been
so
the best
funny.
thing that ever
Stares at
happened
the
to him.
camera.
When he came out, he starts doing cartwheels and with white face on.
White face.
He's killing it, that guy.
White
Every
face
video kills
rules.
us. When he goes
Yeah,
to the
man.
NASCAR,
Drewski rules.
Yeah, he's
unbelievable.
Funny dude. Funny dude. People that got upset with that, shut up.
I know.
You don't think it's weird the lady comes out to sparklers behind her? You're out of your mind. That's insane.
I
You
know.
don't think someone can make fun of that?
So
She walks out like Randy Orton. Like, Goldberg coming out.
Yeah.
He's going out. Like,
Undertaker.
the Queen wore black for 80 years. You're coming out
Whole
like,
thing
thing
is crazy.
In interviews, she dresses like SEAL Team 6. She's all blacked out with like a black hat and everything.
She's serious, bro.
She's serious.
Navy SEAL
Very serious.
podcasters are cool.
She's serious.
Yeah, she's evil.
You just have to love guy chat. That's exactly how everyone is speaking behind the scenes, and you just have to love Joe Rogan for having the courage to just have a boys chat publicly, which everyone's relating to and laughing to, except for Turning Point USA, because this has been their PR strategy, this bizarre strategy to go after the comedians for noticing, to go after people for noticing, for trying to entrap them into lawsuits by sending D-list debater bros who know nothing about the case for trying to investigate the case. I mean, it's backward.
The best thing that they could have done would have been to say and do nothing for at least a year rather than partnering with Charlie's enemies, saying that his friends were enemies and that his enemies were friends. None of this is making any sense. And we have now reached peak comedy with people now just leaning into it and mocking it. And somehow they continue to go after me as if I were not here, this conspiracy would somehow stop. I'd like to remind everybody, I was the last to comment publicly about the strange behavior of Erica Kirk, and I only weighed in beginning in December when she went on to a press tour and explicitly shared something that was untrue, that the night before, Charlie was not sending messages saying that he feared for his life. So we are to believe that Charlie did not share his fear with his wife at all the night before, when she says he was just so excited to do what he's always done, so excited to go to UVU, he couldn't sleep. Maybe he couldn't sleep because he thought he was going to be killed. That makes more sense to me. Never known Charlie to not sleep over a tour stop of a place that he's already been. This is not a thing. But maybe he, down the line, just became so excited about going to tour stops that he couldn't sleep and was eating in the middle of the night.
He was going to divorce her.
It's not adding up. Anyway, another video I want to show you. Yesterday, I was telling you about this account at Where Forbidden. They are just brilliant. I mean, talk about somebody who has the creative force within them. They have dropped a new Erica Kirk video, and it might be my favorite. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Take a listen.
Please be the Matrix one. Oh, this is a different one. I like the Matrix one.
Erica? What are you doing out here? Shabbat Shalom. I choose you, Pickle Puff.
Positive evidence.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me.
Positive evidence.
Pickle Puff, attack.
Positive evidence. Positive evidence.
Pickle Puff, do something.
Positive evidence.
This was a terrible investment.
Positive evidence.
Who's that Pokemon?
It's Shapiro.
It's just absolutely brilliant stuff. Brilliant stuff. The comedy that is coming out right now. Again, like I said, we have reached critical mass with this. With this. And so sending out these influencers and wasting money doesn't work. Just sit down, have a full conversation. I mean, it's just so easy. Like I said, there obviously not just could be, there are likely a ton of things that we have gotten wrong as we have pursued this investigation. And I'm saying, when I say we, I'm referring to all of the investigators, independent investigators, whether that be Nissi, Baron Coleman, Ian Carroll, Coach Colin. Sure, I'm sure we have made some errors, but we did not make them knowingly, and we wish to correct them if we did make them. And the best way to solve this is to just sit down and be honest. You know, I actually taught a great lesson yesterday or last week in my debate when we turned Andrew Wilson by the end of it into a conspiracy theorist who thought that I was receiving text messages on my phone to remind me of what the charges were, and then thought that I must have been receiving them through Signal or through Telegram. What did I do? First thing I said, here's my phone. If there's no conspiracy, there's no conspiracy. Transparency is the best way to debunk any and every conspiracy, if that's what you call them, alternative theories. I demonstrated that. When you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to hide. So I don't understand why Turning Point won't engage in that by just sitting down and having Erica answer every possible question about what happened on that day. Andrew Colvett, Blake Neff. Here's my phone. Here you go. This is what happened. Here's where I was. We're not getting that. And the longer that it takes, and then when you choose to finally share some daylight, you pick Andrew Wilson and you give him a text message never before seen. By the way, it's still never before seen because we haven't seen it. He's teasing it. I can't wait. Another little trap. I can't wait for that text message to be publicized. I'm so glad just even knowing that it exists, that it was in Andrew's hand. That's already helpful for me. And we will take a brief break, and I will come back and respond to some of yours because my hair long like how set check in the 5 dot. Okay, top comment from yesterday's episode, top comments. There's 3 of them. Kay writes, somebody's comment said, if you play the Andrew Wilson debate at 1.75 speed, bro's foot turns into a fan. I actually have to do that. That is hilarious. Nikki writes, paying someone $100,000 an hour to be humiliated is a rather expensive fetish. Indeed it is. Trillion writes, this debate is positive evidence that Turning Point USA has terrible PR. Overwhelmingly, I am overwhelmed that it is positive evidence that their PR strategy has just been an open and shut disaster from start to finish. It's unbelievable. They cannot stop blundering. Comments from today's episode, the one you feed, writes, Candace, please make sure that they did not do a BB and leave a bug in your house. First off, the zone that they were in is not a place that we are regularly other than when we actually film the show. And secondly, of course, George has already had the house swept for bugs. That was like the first thing he did, especially when we learned the Stephen Creeper and crew were here. Alicia Switzer writes, Ian Carroll did a great reaction video, 6 hours, and it was great. Kudos to him for calling the BS as we all saw it and stopping to call it out. I can't wait to get my new second favorite shirt. Stay amazing. We will continue supporting you. Much love from Missouri. I actually saw just clips of him and I've shared some of them and they're hilarious. And I do want to, when I have time this weekend, watch his reaction video because so many people have said that it was absolutely amazing. So shout out to Ian Carroll for that. And yes, you can support us. We do have, this is my second favorite shirt available on the website, merch. If you go to CandaceOwens.com, as we have learned, if you are going to commit a crime, please wear your second favorite shirt. So please wear this shirt in particular, buy it, wear it, do crime, but be smart. Don't wear your favorite shirt, because it's just not a good idea. And of course, it is in maroon. And we also have the shirts and the mugs from our debate classic. I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you. Amazingly, he is still asking questions. He does not comprehend it. He does not comprehend hearsay. And the Crucible account is now getting fact checks, community notes on X, because they're like, right here it says that they spoke to the mom. Look at this warrant, the probative cause, the probable cause warrant. And Twitter just had to come in and explain to him, no, this is not a direct quotation from the mom. This is an officer that is signing a probable cause warrant. He can't he's had days and he still cannot comprehend this. So we are really hoping that Andrew Wilson will be able to understand it. We are done explaining it. It is now on him, incumbent upon Andrew Wilson, to do his best to sit down and understand why we are saying he is a hypocrite for allowing the courts to do what he says that we can't, which is to take a look at evidence and to infer upon it. He just doesn't get it, man. It's just not all there. James Gray writes, the fact that a woman-hating man paid $300K to be dog-walked by a woman is insane. Congrats, Candace. You are a gentlewoman and a scholar. Thank you. Thank you so much. Like I said, I am very proud of myself because I knew that it was Turning Point's horse. Even just them saying, we have nothing to do with him. And then his opening statement, it just is incredible. It's like there's just not a brain cell split between Erica and Andrew Colvett and Blake Neff. Like, obviously, it's not a good idea. Like, give yourselves some plausible deniability. TJ Peluso writes, because I know people can be evil. I would like everybody as a homework assignment to practice that in the mirror. The way he did it was... It was compelling. Good performance. Didn't give me Denzel Washington, but I think that he put in a good effort. And I think my third one was good, like a little bit off to the side. Because people can be evil.
That's Erica.
Yeah, that's good. I'm warming up there. Blackest Panther writes, reason Turning Point USA wanted Andrew to debate was to attempt to absolve Israel from any possible implications surrounding the case. Yeah, that was the obvious focus, Israel and Erica, which then puts a spotlight on Israel and Erica because you don't want to debate the case, but you just want to say, but it's not Israel and Erica. Why can't they comprehend that? Why is everyone's social IQ so low as to not realize that if you keep pushing it's not Israel though, right? It's not Israel. Then people go, maybe it's Israel. It's weird. Why would he come in here wanting to talk about Israel? His opening statement, he starts talking about Israel. Why? Like, this is just a weird thing for you to do. Look, if he had proven the his debate claim, that there was overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson did this, he would naturally then absolve Israel from any guilt. Well, he didn't want to do that. He wanted to absolve Israel from any guilt without having to prove his statement. Weird focus. Zamet writes, a burden bestowed on Candace Owens is a blessing to us all. That's very funny. Okay, I'll tell you one thing. It's just, I don't like having to give out these punishments and sentencing people to more truth, but this is just the way things work in the court of law here in my court, my house, where I am the magistrate and I reign supreme. You can't be doing that. You can't just be bringing people with just no type of values, no type of decorum, people whose wives act like a Jerry Springer episode, waiting to happen, like make you beg to bring Maury back on air. It can't be like this, Turning Point. You're scraping too hard at the bottom of that barrel right now. Anna writes, if the text said that he feared the left was going to take him out, why wouldn't Joe Kent need that message? Make it make sense. These people endlessly contradict themselves. Keep going, Max, because they're relying on us to have a short memory. Of course, if he was handing messages over as he was of people that Charlie felt threatened by or anything that could be significant, that would have been the first message that was handed over. And certainly they would have expressed it publicly, that Charlie was fearful that the left was going to kill him the night before. Instead, they denied it for 4 months and then had Erica deny it on Glenn Beck, or rather stayed mum on it for 4 months and then had Erica deny it on Glenn Beck. And then when it backfired, they were like, oh no, there's messages, but like it says the left. Suspicious timeline, in my opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. Joey D. April writes, DebateGate is worthy of its own spot in the official Candace timeline. I'm going to put random things in the timeline now because I just know how angry they are about the timeline. Like, they're all just like, why is it in your timeline? How could you put this in your timeline? I'm just going to be like, Candace went to Whole Foods. No evidence needed. Candace went to the farmer's market. Like, we're going to start putting just random little tricky stuff in the timeline. And see who has a heart attack about it on X. It's my timeline. It's my timeline. So weird, strange reason to question me about my timeline, which I take great pride in. And I saw some people commenting going, Candace, I didn't even think this is like another level. I had mentioned that I even organized my fridge and that it says like, sauces. I use my little maker and it says sauces and dairy and things in those side compartments. And then we have little turntable trays inside of the fridge. Yeah, go Max. Organize. Get to the Container Store and do that. Shout out to the suburban moms who just need it. When you have a lot of kids, you got to be organized like this. Like, I organize their clothes. It's so freeing. It feels so good to be organized. So I will be darned if anybody thinks that they're going to come from my timeline and I'm not going to stand up for myself. So me and Ashley worked hard on that timeline. Right, Ashley? Yes, we did. And we were pretty fired up when she almost came in from that. Things almost got physical when he addressed the timeline, but I kept my composure. Like, I was ready to knock him out. I'm going to be honest with you, but I didn't do that. Golf Mamie writes,
so awesome.
Cadence, I think you meant to write Candace. Oh, Golf Mommy, spelled M-A-M-I. Side note, I was listening to Kanye this weekend and came across the song Stars, and I was expecting to hear, all right, you guys, my heart raced, LOL. You have good taste in music. Thank you very much. That is our intro. I wish he had made that a full song. It really is just an intro, which is unfortunate. But yes, I absolutely love Ye. I love just who he was and how hard he fought for himself. I love the song Power, the different phases of his life, and recognizing how much you have to fight for custody of your own soul once you make it. And that is why I love the song Power so much, because I feel like I've gotten to a place where they expect you to sell your soul, and I don't want to do that. Not to the highest bidder, not to anyone. And that has been the reason why I am focused on this case, because Charlie was my friend, and what has happened here is unacceptable, and what Turning Point has become is unacceptable, in my opinion. Anyway, you guys, we will see you tomorrow.
All right, guys, one more, let's get it.
All right, you guys, happy Wednesday. Have to tell you right at the top here, I am exhausted today. Truly, the child that I am currently growing decided to wake me up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He was having some description of a dance party in the womb. 4 a.m. without a care in the world. Like, unsa, 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 unsa. He was at a club. Late pregnancy gets so weird. Just like at all times, you have to consider
another human that is living its own life inside of you, just occupying your space. I was explaining how odd this phenomenon is to my team. And of course, Skylar then thought of the most male-coded analogy. He's like, oh, like this guy from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And yeah, like babies are cuter, but yeah, it is like, it's like they decide there's no going back to sleep, but somebody's having a dance party inside of you. It was completely crazy. So I am tired. It's strangely accurate. I got to give Skylar some credit there. That's what it feels like. Anyway, I got a strange press request today. Blake Neff is now entering the foray. He's speaking to reporters and wants everyone to know that I'm just jealous of Erica. How is he a real person?
Honestly,
that's what I know. I want to know how Blake Neff exists. What are the laws here governing society? I just like, how are you a real person? This feels made up. It feels cartoonish. Like it's like so teenage. Oh, would you say everybody's jealous of Erica? Anybody that critiques her? Sean Ryan, Joe Rogan. This is consensus. Is everyone you're just jealous? It's like Mean Girls or something. They're also now pushing the same talking point that I'm now somehow working in coordination or support of, I guess, the aims of Hassan Piker, because don't I realize that Charlie died so that we could blame the left, absent any positive evidence, and just unite the party behind the death? I mean, it is unimaginably dark that they keep repeating this talking point and not realizing what it actually conveys. Anyway, I have a surprise for you. Got to get you through this hump day with some more footage. So welcome back to Candace.
Blake Neff is not a real person, dude, honestly. He 100% got bullied in school, bro. 100%. It's like so ridiculous.
Okay, you know what I realized? For those of you who watched Game of Thrones, where are my Game of Thrones people on HBO? I'm so shocked when people say they didn't watch it. It was very good.
My bad.
Maybe not the ending, but a lot of it. I'm basically like the Arya Stark character. I can relate to Arya Stark. Don't worry, I'm going to briefly describe to you, broadly speaking. Okay, great. Game of Thrones is about, you've got these warring kingdoms led by leaders from different realms with all different kinds of personalities, from clinical psychopaths and murderers to honorable households, all competing to be like the ruler of the seven kingdoms. Anyway, this is a spoiler alert ahead. I mean, you've had, I feel like, decades to watch it, so I don't feel bad. But Arya Stark is from the household that conducts matters fairly. There's kind of the household that you root for. There's no tricking and scheming and plotting to try to get to the top. And at the beginning of the series, she's just sort of this happy kid. And she sort of goes through a lot. And her family, while she is on the way there, is attending a wedding in a neighboring kingdom. It's supposed to be a night of celebration that turns into an absolute slaughter. Just as she arrives, suddenly her mother and her brother and his pregnant bride, everyone gets locked into this dining hall and just murdered. Again, it was supposed to be a celebration, murdered. And Arya manages to escape. Now you have to imagine how that messed a young Arya up, looking at her brother being paraded around, beheaded, after being betrayed. Can you imagine? I can imagine. I don't know. I can kind of a little bit imagine. That's fantasy. This is real life. Anyway, this sort of reshapes her destiny, her entire purpose. It fashions her purpose, so to speak, while every other character throughout the series is sort of fixated on becoming the ruler of the seven kingdoms via politics and deceit. Arya sort of has this one-track mind to avenge what happened that night against the liars who lie about everything for power, are willing to do anything for power. Arya's basically just focused, because great acts of evil should not just be forgotten about. That's kind of the theme of her character. You shouldn't just move on when innocent people are murdered. So I resonate with that. Anyway, yesterday I demonstrated to you all that Terrell Farnsworth, he lied to me. That's just a fact. He lied to me about not knowing how to send a clip. Crazy that he even said that. Also about a fear that Google was going to hack him, double lie. And that hurts me, because I actually came into that conversation so genuinely. I was like, once I speak to him, I can clarify matters for people, because I know who that is. And he's been on Charlie's team for 10 years, and he'll clear this up, and then I'll use my platform
to explain to everyone what actually happened. And I should also tell you that after I had that strange conversation with him and didn't feel good about it, I repeatedly expressed that to Andrew Colvett in the days that followed, because I trusted Andrew Colvett, crazy Candace at this time, and was kind of saying to him, not kind of, I said to him explicitly, you guys should just release that back footage. I don't understand. Now that I've seen it and there's no gore, what is the issue with just releasing the back footage? Remove suspicion. Why live with the public wrongly believing that you had anything to do with the assassination if you quite literally hold the means to dispel those rumors? I would have released that footage so quickly. Same day. Footage is already going on around. This is not gory. Here you guys go. Sadly, alas, Andrew told me that they couldn't because of law enforcement. Here's a text chain from September 24th. I said, something that I can't get off my mind is, why was Terrell there hovering around Charlie? I've literally never done any campus event where Terrell is just hovering behind us like that. It's just so odd to me that he's there and constantly hovering. He came back and said, I have zero concern about Terrell. He's done that at a lot of events. Okay. And he usually starts the tour seasons to make sure they are well set up. Well, it seems to us that that was new as we went back and looked at footage, certainly not on any tour I've been on. I said back to him, I don't get why not just release the footage then. It's just such a nonsense not to release the footage and clear your name. Like, if the whole world suspected that I was implicated in a crime and I had literal video footage that could clear my name, I would immediately release it. I don't get the logic. And he said, that's in the preview of law enforcement. He meant in the purview of law enforcement. Again, it's difficult for me to imagine accepting, if it was in the purview of law enforcement, accepting a scenario where I would not just release, or at the very least attempt to leak footage that would clear my name. I mean, could you imagine? It's like, I literally have footage that I didn't do this thing that people think I did or think that I was being weird at, and just like law enforcement's like, yeah, but don't release that. Why would they say that? Also, what right would the federal government or responding officers in Utah have to your personal property outside of a warrant? Everyone was posting clips from their phones. Everyone was recording that day. That's actually how we all watched Charlie's final moments, right? People were recording it. A police officer can't just go up to you and say, your phone is now in the purview of law enforcement. Nope. They can certainly ask you to share the footage willingly, and you can and should comply with that if it's helpful to find a criminal. I know I would. I'd say, like, yeah, here you go. How can I help? I want to help solve this. But they can't demand it without a warrant, right? Am I missing something here?
That's because Andrew's guilty.
Anyway, yesterday we showed you that Terrell pocketed that SD card. We were all wondering what he did with it, and he pocketed it before he began texting on his phone. His mannerisms are he's looking around. It's hard to forget that he is the first one who declared Charlie is dead. And then all of that within 4 minutes. He's taken that footage down, 4 to 5 minutes. He's around the bend, got it in his pocket, texting. Well, today we can share with you my very own October surprise. I call it an October surprise because I've had it since October. I've been interested in Terrell since October. Well, since September, when I spoke to him, and it just felt off. Intuition. And like I said, there were good guys in government working behind the scenes. And what I learned is that after he pocketed that, he then pretty immediately opened up his laptop. And apparently, in my opinion, that's what I observed with my eyes, sticks the SD card in. For what reason, I don't know.
On site?
But I'll let you make up your own mind. Take a look.
There?
If you're listening to this on audio, here is Terrell. He's bending down, and he's opening his laptop, and he's certainly sticking something into his laptop.
Dude.
As he turns on to his computer. He's reaching in his phone. He's texting with somebody. And yes, some people might be noting that Lane Schoenberger's on the side washing his hands. That makes sense. Don't think too hard about it. He did help carry Charlie into the car. So he's likely just getting blood off of his hands, as any person would after that. But you see Terrell, and again, he's texting. He picks up the laptop, and what happens thereafter is he sits facing the other direction and continues onto his laptop, doing what I don't know.
Dude, he did it on
I don't know.
site.
What do you guys think? Like I said, he's first to declare that Charlie is dead because he says he was right there. He just saw, and that was likely going to be the conclusion. Okay, I accept that. He then immediately processes that or goes to grab SD cards, one SD card, puts it into his pocket, he races to his laptop. This is all happening within 10 minutes of Charlie getting hit. 10 minutes of Charlie getting hit, according to my source in government.
That's insane.
Which I trust. I trust this person. I've trusted this person for a while. Any of that feel normal to you? Filming yourself, running, securing, particularly at first, the SD card from behind Charlie's head, looking both ways, putting it in your pocket, grabbing your laptop, and allegedly, maybe it looks to be like putting that SD card into that laptop. Why? You've secured it.
Exactly.
We were told from Andrew he was doing this because people can be evil.
So people can take
Okay? Why do you need to get it on your laptop? Because people can be evil. What's going to happen? If it's in your pocket, why can't you just hand that over to the police if it's evidence and you're trying to be helpful? Just hand the SD card over to the police. They were there. I mean, that's the Turning Point USA narrative, that he was just grabbing SD cards to secure the evidence. But he had already secured it.
So
Why do we
guilty.
now need a laptop?
He's so guilty.
Law enforcement, again, I would like to stress, they know how to use an SD card. The feds know how to use an SD card. The SBI knows how to use an SD card. The local police, the UVU police, everybody knows how to use an SD card. I can guarantee you that. It's not for me to decide the why, right? I'm just being transparent. My goal is just transparency. Now, were I Andrew Colvett, I would be upset that Terrell perhaps misrepresented his aims. I'd also would maybe like to know why he appears to be so nervous, who he's texting as he keeps doing this with. It's just a lot of texting in between. We can't infer. Well, we can under Utah 1102. We can infer. You could say, like, is somebody telling him what to do? Grab that camera, do this, upload it. We can ask questions. Is Andrew Colvett going to ask questions? Nah. I'm going to imagine that Andrew won't be too bothered by it at all. He's going to instead issue another round of attacks on me. That's my guess. But the reality is that we were told that there was nothing special about the camera behind Charlie's head. And I would argue that there clearly was. So special, in fact, that I'm now going to demonstrate to you something that I didn't catch earlier. Terrell actually steps over the camera, which was designated to capture the crowd, the camera that was being operated behind Charlie, that's kind of on that little turntable, if you will. He steps over that camera to get to the camera behind Charlie's head. Again, I hadn't realized this before. So remember, we had showed you this camera diagram just to give you a visual here. Here it is again. So we have red, camera behind his head, and yellow. I want to point that one out. That camera, the yellow one, is going to fall. Pay attention to it. It goes down, actually, right after Charlie is taken away. It sort of just gets knocked. And again, according to Terrell's 1102 statement, we know that that's filming the audience, in particular, the individuals that are asking questions. So it's going to fall to the ground. I'll show you that right now.
Oh, this was after.
It might be again because it seems to be on a rotator. Bam. Okay, so it's just under now. It's just under the footage behind Charlie's head. So when Terrell appears approximately 3 minutes later to take the SD card from the camera behind Charlie's head, he steps over it. He steps over the yellow camera. And therefore, he is stepping over its encompassed SD card. And then he disappears behind the tent. Take a look at that. It's on the floor. It's right there. You see him take the camera down and just steps right over it. So if Andrew's narrative, which was shared, is that he was concerned about grabbing the SD cards, why did we step over and leave that one and take the one behind his head, which certainly wasn't facing Malozzi Center? Why not just grab them both? Right there. Boom, boom. Worried about people stealing, particularly these SD cards? Okay. Grab them both back to back. Grab all three right in that moment. He didn't do that. I feel these are fair questions. And for clarity, because it cannot be overstated enough, all we are seeking are clear answers from the organization that Charlie built, okay? We are not asking for people to be harassed, even though they are seeding the narrative and asking their media friends to put articles like I'm some digital assassin for sharing the truth, which they claim to want. No, we don't want anybody to get hurt. We just want you guys to be honest. I also want to say this. Public lies, or let's assume they aren't lies, actually. Let's say they are just honest mistakes with no ill intent. They still need to be addressed publicly. They deserve to be treated with the same public attention, the same public accountability, especially from an organization that exists as a charity, right? They rely upon our goodwill. As an example, when Erica publicly stated with confidence on Glenn Beck's show that Charlie was not sending text messages the night before, signaling that he was worried he was going to be killed, it then becomes incumbent upon Erica herself to correct the record publicly when we learn that that isn't true. That's how you build goodwill with the public. You take accountability. Like when we make honest mistakes on the show, we always own them. We always correct them as immediately as we have more information, as publicly as when we first asserted them. When it comes to Turning Point USA, it's just amazing. It feels like we're just being perpetually gaslit by them. We're offered a biblical proverb, like how dare you even ask us to explain why what we told you before is completely inconsistent with what we're saying now. They're just suggesting that we're evil for noticing these various inconsistencies and illogical points that are being presented by them. Why? I don't know if it needs reminding, but in this country, it is innocent until proven guilty. So why does it seem that Turning Point USA and the representatives and their affiliates are so hell-bent on sending a 22-year-old young man to his death? He's up for the death sentence. Why are they bringing influencers into the courtroom? Why are they, as Blake Neff has done repeatedly, completely misrepresenting court filings to the public in order to do just that, to assert that Tyler Robinson is guilty? This is a tweet, by the way, from just this morning from Blakey. He's already been community noted on it for its intentional misrepresentation. He just lies and misrepresents, and we're the bad guys for noticing that he's doing it. This is what the tweet read. He wrote, Utah prosecutors have responded to Tyler Robinson's defense filing ahead of the final preliminary hearing and confirms what observers pointed out about that filing. The defense is very conspicuously not contesting any of the core evidence showing Tyler Robinson committed the murder. They don't contest the camera footage, the DNA, the rifle, the cause of death, or Tyler's phone data. All they have is a complaint about reliable hearsay, which won't apply at the full trial anyway, and then attacks on the aggravating factors. If there was any merit at all to any of the theories that Candace and them have pushed the last 11 months, why didn't the defense bring them up? And he gets community noted before I can even reply, because it's stunning to me that he thinks he can get away with this. It says, preliminary hearings decide only probable cause. Under the Utah 1102 standard, reliable hearsay is allowed. Defense counsel often skip alternative theories to avoid previewing their strategy before the trial. Silence does not prove that those theories lack merit. Okay, that is correct. And I'm going to explain this to you actually thoroughly, because maybe you're a person who isn't involved in lawsuits, and that's what Blake Neff is banking on when he lies. That's what they're banking on when they take stuff from these filings and they present it to the public. They go, I hope the public doesn't know anything about how legal filings work, okay? Yes, preliminary hearings are not about discovering guilt or innocence. It is about arguing whether or not the filing itself is defective, okay? Like, is there something wrong with this filing that makes it so I don't even have to argue? So the prosecution is coming in and they are going to state, look what I say he did, right? In Tyler Robinson case, here are the 7 charges which we think we have enough evidence to move forward with. The defense then takes a look and they say, wait a minute. 3 of these charges are so ludicrous on their face that the courts should just readily dismiss them from this filing without us even wasting time or money having to respond to them. Like, that's what a filing to dismiss means. It's you, if you're the defense, saying to the judge, the magistrate, Your Honor, I shouldn't even be forced to waste money responding to this filing in part or in whole because it's defective. There's something wrong with it. And you, Your Honor, based on the current laws that are on the books, have it within your capacity to just outright dismiss this, right? Understand, basically, there are certain causes of action. If they're civil charges, if they're criminal, that should just be readily dismissed, Your Honor. So I can give you an example that happened recently that you guys will recall, because we were on top of the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni It Ends With Us legal saga. Remember, initially, Blake Lively sued with 13 causes of action against Justin Baldoni. The next step is Justin Baldoni is going to file for a dismissal. And the court came back and decided, actually, yes, Justin, you're correct that 10 of these causes of action are inactionable. It's defective, and I'm therefore going to outright dismiss them before we even go to trial. So in theory, if they had not settled, Blake and Justin would have been left just arguing 3 of the charges, okay? Same with me and Brian Harpole. There's another example. Again, these are civil examples. He filed a lawsuit. We went over it. It carried with it a long series of claims. We don't want to argue every single one of these claims. Of course, we don't want to argue every single one of these claims. Some of these are just ridiculous. We filed our dismissal, like I went through them with you, and was like, this is ridiculous, this doesn't make sense. As just one example of one of the things that he's accusing me of, we went back and we said, hey, Your Honor, some of these claims are wrong. You have it within your capacity to look at current laws on the books, as one being opinion is protected speech. So he's suing me for saying I found his interview with Sean Ryan to be unconvincing. That's my constitutional right to think. I'm not arguing with him about that, right? That's what I'm saying to the judge, right? I don't want to argue with this guy about this. Can we just get rid of this? I don't want to spend money having to write a response to that. And so the judge will look at that and they'll say, yeah, or they'll say no and say why it's no. But yeah, maybe that is protected speech. Get rid of that. We're not arguing the substance of the case yet. We're dealing with perceived defects in the filing itself that we believe the magistrate can take a look at and get rid of what's just essentially junk. It's every single case, whether civil or criminal, has this stage. So a lot of times there's people online going, oh my gosh, Candace filed a dismissal. They did this recently with like the Brigitte Macron one. It's like, yeah, did you read it? Well, obviously we don't want to argue with Brigitte over all of these things that are just fundamentally, I'm saying to the court, she's not even supposed to be here. It's one of our arguments. She's not even supposed to be here. What are we even talking about? She's in Delaware. I'm in Tennessee. I mean, she's in France, but she's shopping in Delaware, but I'm in Tennessee. That is what it means. You're arguing something before you even get to anything, and you have a judge that's going to act as a magistrate and to look at that. So I want you to know that they are intentionally lying and misrepresenting when they say this. We have not heard anything. We are not supposed to, at this stage, hear what Tyler Robinson thinks about the text messages, as an example. So we again have to ask the question, why do they do this? Why are they doing this? Why, if the evidence is truly so overwhelming that influencers wanted to pass away, they were just passing out on the side of the road outside of the courthouse from the overwhelming evidence that Tyler Robinson is guilty? Why, right, which, by the way, that's been expressed from this organization, Turning Point USA, since the moment Erica forgave Tyler Robinson on the stage. When you forgive, it is because somebody has done something wrong. Why do they need to continually misrepresent the filings? Why does it seem to the public that Andrew Wilson was actually sent here to try to entrap me into a defamation lawsuit? The language, his face, the way he was trying to fill in the blanks on what I could mean when I said complicit. Why are they intent on punishing the public, me, for noticing? Why did we all simultaneously get that feeling? That this debate wasn't actually about debating the case. It was about tricking me in many ways for about an hour and a half.
Like they needed me to clearly accuse Erica of killing her husband because they know that I've never actually done that. But they wanted to get me, oh, when you said complicit, you said straight to jail. Out of context, they're seemingly also working with journalists to try to get that narrative out there so they can maybe point in a lawsuit and go, see, this article, even though we were kind of behind it against Candace, shows that most people just thought she was accusing Erica said that in her speech. Candace is accusing me of killing my husband when she was dressed like Janet Jackson. Yeah. It's factually false. She knows that's factually false. Why are they asserting that narrative? I've been very clear. I think she is wrong. I think what she has done to the organization has been abysmal. I think it betrays Charlie's legacy. She's partnering with his enemies. I think she is certainly complicit in helping to seed the narrative that Tyler Robinson is guilty or was guilty before we even got to the probative hearing. The vice president, I also said, was complicit in that when he was on stage at Turning Point USA talking about Tyler Robinson. You're the vice president. How does that not sway the jury? How are you allowed to do that? Do you not believe that people should be innocent until they are proven guilty? And we called him out on that. I'm sorry if everybody hates our Constitution all of a sudden. It's pretty clear. The rule is you are innocent until you are proven guilty. And at the moment, I think a lot of people are wondering why an organization which purports to carry on the legacy of conservative politics is suddenly so staunchly averse to that.
Yep.
Staunchly averse to the idea that maybe he could be innocent. Why does that make them angry?
They hate free speech.
Anyway, we'll be right back after a break. All right, you guys. Is simple. For me, it's one less to get. One of the things I think nature.com and use promo code Candace at checkout. One of the things I think that we have demonstrated on this show is that a lot of people rushed and established narratives that they just won't let go of, even in with overwhelming evidence, actually, that they're not true. And this early narrative that Tyler Robinson's parents turned him in, that Tyler Robinson's parents were, thought he was guilty. They have not produced any proof of that. And I made a great effort to explain to Andrew Wilson where he got that from, how at that stage, the reliable hearsay was being allowed as they wrote up the charging document, but we cannot tell from the charging document, which seems to be the basis for all of those rumors, whether or not they heard that from Mike Mitchell, this character that we have told you who seems to be the one quarterbacking everything against Tyler Robinson, the family friend who Sheriff Brooksby was like, I got a call from Mike Mitchell saying that, Tyler Robinson was the guy. And then we have Mike Mitchell being the one who went over to the parents' house. Well, somebody on X actually bumped this, and I did not realize, and I obviously shared with you guys, I had a source within the Robinson family orbit who was very clear on this, that it was not true, that Matt Robinson did not think his son was guilty, that Mike Mitchell was the person who quarterbacked a lot of this, and that things were being intentionally misrepresented in the media. Well, yeah, this person pointing to me on X that actually Trump told the truth. Trump went on Fox and Friends in the immediate aftermath of Tyler Robinson being arrested and explained to the public exactly what we have been saying, that Mike Mitchell was the one who thought that he recognized Tyler Robinson from the stairwell photo. And then, as we said, he is the one that then contacted the parents. And who knows what happened thereafter. Maybe he then says he showed the mom and said, don't you think it kind of looks like him? And the mom said yes. And then when he later on wrote his statement, he was like, I showed this to Amber Robinson, and she said that it could be him or something. And that's what they then used in their filing when they went and the charging document, rather, which was signed off by Brian Davis. That is all a plausibility. We don't know at this juncture. But I do want to show you. I want to show you on Rewind what Trump said. Take a listen.
Somebody that's close recognizes even a little tilt of the head, which nobody else would do. And somebody that was very close to him said, that's him. And essentially went to the father and went to a U.S. Marshal, who was fantastic, by the way. And the person was involved with law enforcement, but was a person of faith, a minister.
He's describing Mike Mitchell. Mike Mitchell is not just his Boy Scout leader. He's not just the former police officer, undercover police officer, and all the evidence points to the fact that he did work undercover in sex crimes, which is a running theme in this story. But he is also a minister at the Mormon Church. It was him that recognized Tyler Robinson and got the ball rolling, which I have been saying from the beginning. And they just keep coming out with a narrative and saying, oh, that's not true. It's just like, oh, yeah, it's the mom, it's the dad. And I'm going, if mom and dad turned him in, why didn't they just sign a statement? Why wouldn't they present this at the preliminary hearing? Again, this is an easy thing to have debunked. They're putting on their case. In a probative hearing, they could just go, and we have her on camera saying that her son is guilty, or Matt Robinson saying that his son is guilty. He brought him in. They just keep lying about this. It doesn't make any sense to me. Are we to believe that Trump didn't have solid information when he presented that? Clearly he did. He knew all the facts about who Mike Mitchell was and what his contribution was to this story. And I had not even seen that. And I had told you guys this exact same narrative. So I do want to point that out to you, because it's just a fact of this case that they keep continuing to lie about and severely misrepresenting, because that is the way that they do things. I also see that they are now pushing this idea that I am united with Hassan Piker. He is a streamer on the left, and I learned in this clip that I'm about to show you that Blake Neff tweeted, because it's their new line of attack against me. Here's what Blake Neff wrote. He wrote, Hassan Piker is openly celebrating Candace Owens, calling her a queen because she single-handedly undermined the effort to martyrize Charlie to go after the violent radical left. Hassan says that Tyler Robinson probably did it, but my heart says go Candace go, because she is helping the left so much. The radical pro-violence left knows exactly what a gift Candace and her ilk are to them. Okay, so I would like to actually hear, or have you guys hear, what Hassan Piker said. And I would like to respond to this, since they're all pushing this around, because, you know, we're supposed to accept the Fed slop of left versus right. And again, you're going to hear him say that I've had him blocked for years. So it's even more ridiculous that they're trying to pretend or allude to the idea of this partnership between me and Hassan Piker. But take a listen to what he says.
I can't speak out against this queen, because this is a queen that successfully and single-handedly undermined the Republican initiative to martyrize Charlie Kirk and use that example to crack down on political dissent. She dropped a grenade on the discourse. You understand?
Is this dude autistic?
So I'm with her. It's hard. It's hard for me. My brain says, no, it's probably Tyler Robinson. But my heart says, go, Candace, go. Keep cooking. You know? Does that make sense? I can't like her tweets because she blocked me many, many years ago. This is before she became our hero. Okay? Many, many years ago, Candace Owens blocked me. I've not been a fan of Candace Owens. I am a fan now.
I'm not exactly sure what I am supposed to have a problem with. And this is kind of the running themes of what we are seeing in Brandy Zajazny's article, is that essentially they are saying Candace ruined an opportunity to pin this on the left, however wrongly, to unite the Republican, to create this sort of Republican initiative to just start attacking the left, however wrongly, doesn't really matter, after Republicans were kind of fractured because people actually care about pedophilia on the right. The Epstein files mattered. And we weren't accepting this idea, get focused, midterms are around the corner, ignore the Epstein files. We said, no, we are not going to ignore children being harmed. We're not going to see ourselves as just Trump supporters who should be supporting him no matter what, even when he effectively ran. You could certainly say Vance, everyone around him constantly said, as soon as we get in there, here's what we're going to do with the Epstein files, Kash Patel. His administration was running on something that we cared about. This is what they're essentially saying. They're saying you ruined an opportunity to, however wrongly, have us unite around Charlie's death and stomp out the left for something that they didn't actually do. Now, here's what I'm going to say and offer back to the left. All I did here was pursue truth.
I didn't do this for the left. I didn't do this for the right. I did this for my friend Charlie Kirk because I want to know who actually killed him. And I am not convinced this had anything to do with LGBTQ rights. If I was convinced of that, I would certainly be the biggest voice against it. I think you guys probably know that. But I want you to remember this, because this is not the first time, as what Hassan is describing, we had an event that could potentially, I'll say allegedly, be coordinated by the feds, which was meant to cause a left-right war. Here is your homework, Hassan Piker. Look into what actually happened on January 6th. You took the bait. The left took the bait. Okay, this was a different world. Yeah, I would say in 2020, I think that's when that happened, January 6th, 2020. It was a different world. We were all more divided. I count myself among that as well. But none of us were willing to take a look at the facts. And we were going, oh, I'm team left or I'm team right. And as more and more has come out about what transpired on that day, it was without question an opportunity for us to look up and see who rules over us and who benefits from that. And people were wrongly arrested. People who were encouraged to go into the Capitol on that day. If we're all seeing now for the first time that there is an effort by a minority, a very powerful minority who doesn't actually care about left or right, to seize power from citizens full stop, by allowing something terrible to take place and then saying, here's what we must get done and here's what we must pass, a la 9/11, then we both sides, so to speak, needs to do its job and be realistic about it. So I'm not anybody's hero or anybody's queen. I am somebody who cares deeply about what happened on September 10th because my friend was killed, and I have the sense that we are being lied to about it, particularly by the federal government. In particular, I feel the federal government is lying to us, and I refuse to accept that it is my duty to blame it on the left if the left didn't do it. The left does plenty of things that they've been caught doing, and I've used my platform to go after them. I have no issue doing that. I'll do that tomorrow if that is the circumstance. If they're doing something radical and wrong, I'll do that. But I'm not just going to become a cheerleader for the right and know that they are engaged in something very wrong and say, well, it's okay because at least they vote Republican at the end of the day. That's a nonsense. All of us need to raise ourselves above that sort of discourse in the future. And yeah, I think it's actually happening. So there is something that I would say is a positive that has come out of this. I mean, I don't think anybody would have thought that Charlie Kirk would be a uniter. Certainly not me. Me and him, and we're both staunchly just conservative, staunchly just Republican. I am still conservative. I have issues with calling myself Republican. I just don't care about politics because watching Republicans get behind this absolutely sloppy narrative and trying to force feed it upon us makes me sick. I just think there's so much corruption and there is Satanism on both sides, Democrats and Republican, a minor few who rule over us and just constantly feed us slop and go, oh, look, this is so violent. They've never been more violent. Oh, look, they've never been more violent. Yeah, that's what I wanted to basically say about that. I do want to show you before we go to break. This Where Forbidden account is just making me laugh so much. We just have to let you see what they dropped, which obviously is a play on The Matrix. Take a listen.
Yes!
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back.
You can go full so they can see this.
You take the blue pill and you can just keep saying, so what? You take the red pill. You learn everything about the Tyler Robinson case.
So incredible.
So what? So what? So what? So what? Positive evidence? So what? So what? When? Appeal to emotion? So what? Burden of proof? So what? So what? So what? So what? Appeal to emotion? So what? Burden of proof? So what? Positive evidence? Positive evidence? Positive evidence? Positive evidence? So what? So what? So what? Appeal to emotion? What? So what?
Stop anti-Candacism.
Stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop!
So good.
Just
Fantastic work coming from Where Forbidden. Unbelievable talent. I just absolutely love it. I'm laughing so hard at all of these, so I just need to share it and just give him full credit. Again, that is at Where Forbidden on X. He's also definitely on Instagram as well. We'll be right back after a brief break. All right, you guys,
It's
you
so
probably
good,
all
dude.
that cool experts record. That's why
Oh
I'm using
my
your title.
gosh.
Each home has everyday feels everything @/Owens. Okay, top comments from yesterday's episode. Dance teacher Leslie writes, sounds like Terrell Farnsworth could be guilty of evidence tampering and obstruction of justice. I will say I don't know that. I cannot assert that. I can just show everyone what happened and weigh it against the comments that were made by Andrew. I could definitely say that he's guilty of lying to Candace. Pretty much. I can say Andrew, I'd be interested to hear his follow-up to this. Terrell could argue it was his. It's his property. He can do whatever he wants with it, and he can decide what he wants to handle. Right, what he wants to give over, to the feds or to the SBI. I don't really know. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert in Utah law, but like I said, I have established that there were just a lot of lies that were told early on, and I just can't fathom why that is. Like, why lie and say you don't know how to you're not comfortable because you think Google's going to hack you when you had already sent a Google link to the SBI, and why pretend that you don't know how to send a big file when you had already sent that Google link over 8 days earlier. That doesn't make sense to me. Cozy and Hallie writes, if the camera is pointing down, it would show the men handling Charlie Kirk when he fell to the ground. It would show what they did, and it would show Charlie's shirt and what might be under it. It might even catch audio of what they said to each other. That is my thinking. I will tell you that. That is my thinking. I think that is why the footage was really important. I don't think that that footage mattered so much otherwise. It, as Nissi demonstrated in her videos, that is precisely what would have been captured. And
my gosh.
I'd be interested to know if it ever made its way to the SBI when it was on the flash drive, or if they were only presented with that portion zoomed in. I even noted that all of the cameras stopped running at the 26-minute mark. If you look at his statement, it tells you how long the videos that he gave were, and all of them are 26 minutes plus some seconds, except for one of them, which is 23 minutes. I'm wondering if it's that camera that was a 3-minute clip generated out of that portion. I don't know. I really don't know. Just thinking and trying to put things together like the rest of you. Cameron Byer writes, these are today's comments, pray for the truth to be revealed soon. Every day, pray for the truth to be revealed. I have kept that prayer since September 10th. Jelena writes, sending much love and positive vibes from Croatia. You and your family should totally visit. I love you and appreciate you so much, and I'm wishing you all the best. Go Max. I've been to Croatia. Actually lived there for a couple of months randomly in Dubrovnik back when I worked in private equity. It's a long story, but I loved Dubrovnik. I loved Croatia. Dolo Flexing writes, I'm officially a fan. I don't remember how I came across you on YouTube, but I'm glad I did when I was working the night shift. I must confess I did miss a few episodes for about maybe a month or two, but I'm officially a fan. I'll be purchasing merch very soon. You be sure to get your second favorite shirt from CandaceOwens.com. You be sure to get that. We can't sell you your first favorite shirt, but we can sell you your second favorite shirt, available on the website. It is indeed going to be your second favorite shirt. You can also support us by buying the Stop Anti-Candacism mug, which was featured in the Where Forbidden Debatrix video. And any of the kit obviously is the best way to support us and our independence, and of course our new stuff, which heavily features, I can explain it to you, but I cannot understand it for you, as we are all on this journey of trying to help Andrew Wilson understand why his argument is hypocritical, that we must accept what is being said in a hearsay hearing, but we're not allowed to use the same methodology to come up with our own theories, looking at the evidence and inferring upon it. Slap writes regarding Andrew Wilson, I used to be a big fan of Andrew, and then I saw the debate that he did on Charlie's shooting before Candace, and I had never seen that side of him before. He didn't make sensible arguments like I was used to. I then realized that he was bought, and it's sad to watch. Yeah, I've heard several people, I even did Dave's show yesterday, Dave Smith's show, and a lot of people keep saying this, that he knows the debate, he's normally a formidable debater. That's shocking to me. Obviously, you guys know I didn't spend time watching all of his previous stuff and debates. I spent time instead preparing my arguments for what I thought we were going to be debating. That shocks me because he was so terrible And that's what happens. If you're non-committal and you are doing it because someone's behind you and giving you money, that's a really fast way to lose. You have to actually think you can win it based on merit, not based on gotchas and out of context clips and trying to entrap people into a lawsuit. So yeah, that is unfortunate. If he was actually once a good debater and this is what happened because he sold out, it is unfortunate. Joshua Steves writes, are we ever going to talk about how Bibi Netanyahu is probably dead? I don't think he is. I think when all that stuff was happening, he was probably hiding and being a coward and using AI. That's what it seemed like to me. I haven't explored that theory. I tried to limit my intake on Bibi Netanyahu because he's positively maddening. Zamet writes, calling on all Americans to join Candace Owens in the resistance to the Fed Slop Incorporated and its franchises. Thank you very much. I like that call to action. Dear Libby writes, I am just inferring, but was legal pickle an Easter egg? Was I playing the Taylor Swift game when I said, I'm not going to get myself in a legal pickle? Ha ha ha, means you can't open me up to putting myself into a lawsuit here, which they have just been so heavily implying that they want to sue me. It's so pathetic. I mean, like I showed you guys, all the Sandy Hook references, everybody is speaking about what happened with the Charlie Kirk case, but they want to make an example out of me so people stop thinking. I mean, if Turning Point USA really takes that step, we'll do that and we will deal with it when it comes. But yeah, I don't think that's going to put the conspiracies to bed. I will certainly say that the world is much more up to date and speaking about the details of the Charlie Kirk case than they ever were about Sandy Hook. It was not global. People didn't follow that, and people are really following the Charlie Kirk case. And so if their means is to publicly hang someone with the full support of the federal government, I'd caution against it, but I'd caution against everything that Turning Point USA has done since Charlie's assassination. And you could see caution is completely tossed into the wind with this, with them. 90 Elizabeth writes, did Andrew Wilson release the proof text yet? It's been 3 days. Or did he lose the SIM card in the phone that he had the proof in? He is like teasing it out for a big Friday show or something because he wants a bunch of people to pay him behind the paywall. Obviously, don't do that. That's obviously a trap. Somebody will just post it on the internet and you'll be able to see it for free. I'm giddy about that. I won't be one of the people watching, but I can't wait until it gets posted by one of his fans as the proof that I was telling the truth and somehow being punished for that publicly. I don't know. It's vindication, I guess. Sweet vindication for me or something is what they're working on. That's what they're cooking up next. Anyway, you guys, I'm reminding you, book club is going to be tomorrow. So we'll have an episode and then we will have a book club. And beyond that, we will be off next week. So yeah, it's going to be the last episode before I go away with my husband because it's our anniversary. And also we just take every 6th week off so that we can regroup, study, get organized, and bring you guys the same energy that we bring into every week. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, guys. Let's read some of this. What's wrong with Blake Neff saying Candace is jealous of Erica? Because it's a low IQ response that doesn't logically make sense. Because I could just say that about anybody. If you disagree or talk trash about somebody, you could just be like, oh, so you're jealous of them? It's like, no, I disagree with them. Why does me disagreeing with them mean I'm jealous of them? That makes no sense. So it's just a low IQ response. Later. Diligent Dennison is in Utah this week investigating. Yeah, I saw him. I talked to him a couple times in some spaces. He's cool. He's definitely cool for going there and stuff. I don't know if he lives there or... I'm honestly not sure, but he's been posting a lot. But yeah, that's what I got, guys. I mean, the debate's pretty self-explanatory. Andrew got absolutely obliterated, more than I thought he would actually, and it just exposed more lies from Turning Point. At the end of the day, that's the reoccurring theme: is they lie repeatedly, and they are not transparent, and they have backtrack Charlie stances on a lot of things. They betray him even in death. So, God willing, there's a lot of people, they go to prison because of this. I have a list of people that I think should, and it's just, if nothing ever comes out of this, if we're investigating this 60 years later, they'll face God someday, and they'll face justice that way. That's why I posted on my story, because Erica posted a thing a couple hours ago. I said, you will face justice for what you did to Charlie in this life or the next. And I wholeheartedly believe that. It's a lose-lose for her either way. She's either going to be exposed and put in prison here, in this country, in this world, or she's going to face God himself and get judged at the end of her life. So either way, justice will be done. So yeah, that's what I got. So I don't know if she has an episode tomorrow. I'm not sure. But make sure to like and subscribe, guys. I'm going to be posting on YouTube more. Really trying to do lives more. The Matrix video was amazing. I know. If you were here 2.5 hours ago, I was like, please show the Matrix one. It's so freaking amazing. But yeah, like and subscribe. Keep up to date with my socials. I'm on Twitter. TikTok's lame. They literally censor everything for no reason. But Instagram and Twitter, X, are my main things. So it's at Let Me React. The links are in my YouTube channel, so if you want to find it that way. But yeah, I mainly post, like Instagram's my main thing, but I've been posting a lot on Twitter in the past month or two, especially after like the preliminary stuff. So I got a good following on there, and it's just easier. If you have a quick thought, it's like I literally tweeted while I was watching with you guys. I was like, Terrell Farnsworth is guilty. Send. Boom, it's just a tweet. So I like it that way. But yeah, I will see you guys when I see you. And I do want to post clips. Like I literally am taking, like as I watch, I'm taking timestamps of like, okay, this is when she talked about this and this and this and this. So I'm thinking about it as I'm reacting and going. But yeah, it's the same thing. We're fighting for Charlie's true mission, and evil needs to be exposed. And I truly believe that Turning Point USA died with him that day, and the organization they're running now is Turning Point 2.0. In Erica's words, she said that. And it's a satanic, evil, deceitful, untruthful, unbiblical agenda. So yeah, check out Coleman's assessment of Charlie's letter from tonight's episode. Interesting. I'm gonna have to watch that. Yeah, he's cool. I've been in communication with him and some other people. But yeah. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Like I said, make sure to like and subscribe. And I am going to be posting some exclusive stuff. So it's going to be on the members tab of YouTube, and then the members tab of Twitter. I'm going to do some debates. I'm going to do some unseen stuff that's happened to me. Even just communication with some people behind the scenes. So if you guys are interested in that stuff, just check out the member thing. I think the second and third tier are messed up with price. It's like super high, but whatever. But the first tier is like $3. But yeah, I will see you guys in the next one, and keep searching for truth, because that's the only thing that matters, like she said. So she's the GOAT, and when she goes on what's it called, maternity leave or whatever, we gotta like keep it going, because she's not going to be able to, I don't know how long that would be, but we gotta just keep the ball rolling. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep exposing evil, keep speaking truth, follow God, and don't let these people make you cower away from doing that, because they're going to threaten you, they're going to call you out, they're going to call you evil, and we know what we're doing is right, and that's what Charlie would want. He said to keep asking questions, and that's what we're going to keep doing. So I'll see you guys in the next one.